Welcome back to the Geek Fix right here on Think Critical Patriotic channel memberships with a special G.I. Joe centric episode. And we got two of the biggest Joe fans out there, Mr. Aaron Sparrow and Dylan. Now, Dylan, you are the younger of the group. I assume that Aaron and I have very similar origin stories with the Joes, you know, the 80s cartoon, the action figures. Where did your love for the Joes come from?
I played with action figures a bunch when I was a kid, and then I got into the lore because my grandma got me the Snake Eye Storm Shadow set that had the Spy Troops DVD with it. And I watched that, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And so then that got me into the lore, and I started reading the comics after that and watching the original cartoon and everything. But Spy Troops is like a 44-minute CG animated movie. That's what got me into fully into G.I. Joe more than just the toys.
Wow, so you had like the coolest grandma of all times.
Yeah.
That's your favorite, isn't she?
She was, yeah. None of my grandparents are alive anymore, but yeah.
Is that the set Dylan, that came with like Tiger Claw and like the Red Ninja? There was like 4 of them in there, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes. Or this was
no. So it was a 2-pack. It was a 12-inch figures. It was the figures kind of sucked because they had that cloth, so you couldn't play with them because your fingers would be slipping off, and they had the rubber hands, so you couldn't move the hands. They were just stuck rubber. But I remember there's a zip line involved with it, and they had their swords. They looked cool, but playing with them sucked because my hands would slip off all the time. But they looked awesome. It was the hooded Storm Shadow, and I really liked that look. It was cool.
Do you still have the DVD?
Yes, I do.
I knew it. You couldn't give it up.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
So when you went to the library, because that's part of your comic book origin story, did you start finding the G.I. Joe books there?
No, I had to go to actual comic shop to find G.I. Joe books. They didn't have any at the library, sadly. But when I went to comic shop, a bunch of G.I. Joe back issues and got into that. Then got into the IDW stuff, like the Chuck Dixon G.I. Joe, and got all into that.
That's a good time.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So you were playing with the 12-inch G.I. Joes, because I started obviously with the 3 3/4.
Yeah, I had both, but the 12-inch were my main ones. I had a tunnel rat. I mean, he's very green. Had the green do-rag, and I had the one that I still have today is the generic Marine G.I. Joe. He's some ginger Marine. I lost everything involved with him. I remember he had a cap. That's gone. He had an M4. I have no idea where that's at, but I still have the figure. Yeah, so I was mainly more the 12-inch, but I had some of the 3 3/4 one too.
Man, he missed out, Aaron, because the best thing about the 3 3/4 was you'd have your little army, and we would go in the backyard, and we would start whittling sticks and put them together and making our own forts and stuff. You could do that with 12 inches. You need real boulders.
Yeah. No, it was a good time, and I also have good grandma stories because the best stuff in my G.I. Joe collection when I was a kid came from grandma, including the Cobra Terrordrome, which remains my favorite playset of all time to this day.
Oh, very nice. My grandma was also the one that would always get us the action figures because Transformers were the coolest thing because they were robots and they transformed, but they were 3 to 4 times more expensive than G.I. Joe. So grandma could go down the toy aisle and grab you a Joe for $1 or $2, and it wasn't a huge expenditure. So that's the toy line that we had the most of because it was the good priced line of action figures.
Yeah, it was designed that first. I read somewhere that the original 13 and all of the accessories and play sets that they made for that first year, they calculated out the average kid's allowance, and then calculated out the pricing on everything so that within 1 year a kid could buy every single piece of the line. And I don't think that kind of math exists anymore.
Well, definitely not. Action figures are so expensive now.
Yeah, they certainly got more expensive over time. So Aaron, I think you probably, like me, the first time you discovered G.I. Joe as cartoons, because it was just a different world where you maybe had 3 or 4 channels, period, that you were, that were even existing that you got over the air. And one of the channels had a block of action, cartoons. You got some He-Man, you got Transformers, you got G.I. Joe and all that kind of stuff. So basically all the kids in school were watching the exact same cartoons. So I don't know, it just felt like the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, so the way that I discovered it is I remember to this day, I was in Kmart And I had gone to the toy aisle and I had looked, and they didn't really have anything that I was like interested in the toys that I already had. And then we're standing in line. I had money burning a hole in my pocket. I had some birthday money, and we're standing in line. And right by the register, there was this big bin of GI Joes. And I was like, oh, who are these army men? These look cool. And so I could afford 2 of them. So I picked out Flash, and I got a Cobra officer so he could fight them. And so I have those at home, and I'm like playing around with them, here and there. And then I see this commercial on the TV for the comic book. And I'm like, oh, that's the comic for the toys that I have. It had animation and everything. That was like the precursor to the Sunbow cartoon. And so the next time I was at 7-Eleven, I saw a G.I. Joe comic. And I think it was Stalker and Colonel Breakov on the cover. It was I think that's issue 6 or maybe 7, if I'm not mistaken. But I saw that and I was like, oh, I got to get this. And so I picked it up, and then I would get them sporadically up until they introduced Destro in like issue 14. And then from then on, I was like every single issue making sure that I got it.
So you were ground for toys in comic book before even the cartoon came out.
Yeah. So when the cartoon came out and they announced that, it's going to be on this day after school, I was like, I need to be home every day that week to make sure I see that whole mini series. And man, that was like an event for all the boys at school. Yeah.
Like I said, because there was nothing else for anybody else to watch. So you basically all watched the exact same shows. And it was He-Man, Transformers, and G.I. Joe were probably the biggest ones at the time that I can remember.
Yep, exactly.
And at the time, if you were going to have a toy line, you needed to have a cartoon, you needed to have a comic book series.
If you wanted to do it right.
Backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You need to get the kids into the adventure. And like everybody was doing it. Like, every cartoon, like every toy line that came out. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember if Sectors had a cartoon, but I know like they did Inhumanoids. They did, what was the ones where like the Air Commanders or whatever, they like snapped on they had big, like you'd almost put Lego blocks on them, but like they're like that Centurions. And like everybody had like a cartoon and a comic book, but it still didn't guarantee success because we had such an embarrassment of riches at the time. There were so many good toy lines and so many that you could like mix together if you wanted to, that, it was really just more than your average kid could afford.
Yeah. And G.I. Joe's just had the best accessories. You had like his tanks, you had all the good armored vehicles and all that stuff. And eventually it got bigger, where you had the USS Flag and stuff like that. But even for the most part, the accessories and even some of the play sets were still relatively affordable compared to basically everything else.
Yeah, I remember the Flag was the one thing that was like out of reach for most kids because like I'd see it at Toys R Us, but it was like $107 or something like that, and it was tough to get parents to buy in on that. And then also like I had the room for it because I had a really big for some reason we had like an old house, so I had like a really big bedroom, so like I definitely could have fit that thing in there, but yeah, never got it, not till I was an adult.
And you just stuck with G.I. Joes all the way through until today, where you've just been collecting G.I. Joes for over 30 years, or did you stop at one point during adolescence or early manhood before you picked it back up?
Well, by the time I got out, like my brother had been born, so we were still kind of into it, but then you were getting into stuff like everybody was like neon green and they were really trying to do those like
everything
poppy 90 bright colors. Yeah, it's like they had like Ice Cream Soldier and you were like, what is this? And I think the last thing that we bought into was like the Drug Elimination Force, or or I can't remember the exact name of it, but you had Headman and the Headhunters, and like the Cobra's got drug dealers, but then on the cartoon, Cobra was against the drug dealers too. So it was a bizarre time, and then the cartoon started to suck because it went from Sunbow over to Deke, and the animation was terrible and the voices were awful. So yeah, I kind of got out of it then, and then Toys R Us like brought them back in like these weird 2-packs where they were just like reissuing the old figures, and so I'd kind of pick them up here and there, but they had let the right slaps on some of the names, so they didn't even have the rights to the Baroness at the time, so it was like oh, she's in there, but now she's Chameleon, and you're like, what? Well, it's the Baroness, I'll buy it. And then they got into Spy Troops, and they just started like doing things up into Sigma 6, which I never collected, but I appreciated the look of, and I watched the cartoon. But yeah, I always kind of stuck with it,
And with the comic book, obviously saying you got in on the ground floor, you would have been there for the G1 stuff, and obviously getting up to is G.I. Joe Real American Hero 21 the greatest issue of G.I. Joe ever in your estimation?
That's the one where Snake Eyes became my favorite character. Up until then, Stalker was my favorite character, and then he got edged out, and then Flash was my second because he was like the first Joe that I bought, and he looked cool. And then I kind of like translated that love over to Grand Slam because Grand Slam beat the shit out of Major Blood on that bus in issue 17. And I was like, this is dope. And then, yeah, once they revealed Snake Eyes was a ninja, and it was the 80s, ninjas were the coolest thing on the planet. Every kid was super into Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. And I've told the tragic Storm Shadow on the story on the channel more than once.
What, you lost him?
No, I was the first kid at school to get him. But the story of like my mom's manipulation is like horrifies people. The first time I ever told the story, I thought I was telling a funny story, and everybody's like, "Your mom was really manipulative and awful." And I was like, "Oh yeah, she was, wasn't she?" Even back then, like I knew it now, but like I didn't realize it. But it was happening back then.
So Snake Eyes was the better action figure. Like he had the better look, but Storm Shadow was a better action figure because he had the better accessories. Because you got 2 swords, you got throwing stars, and he also came with the bow and arrow set.
Well, he had the throwing stars tucked into his waistband, but you could pretend that he was throwing them. They were part of the sculpt, but yeah, he had them. You got nunchucks, 2 swords, the bow and arrow. Yeah, the bow and arrows, and then the cool backpack.
And I think, did he have a hood that came off?
No, not the first one.
Yeah.
He didn't have a hood until the second iteration of him.
But he had the best accessories, and that continues today. When you just go get the G.I. Joe Classified line, the Storm Shadow still has the best accessories for any like single figure.
Yeah, he really does.
So what's this tragic story? I don't remember this. Was it that awful?
So I walk into Sears with my mom. I can't remember what we're buying, but I get to go over to the toy section so that I'll leave her alone while she's shopping. And I find Rakondo, who is someone has stolen his backpack, and I don't know why, but they've taken his backpack out of the package.
Holy Storm Shadow! That son of a.
So he's marked down. He's marked down. He's a little bit cheaper, not by much, like $1. But for G.I. Joe, that was like half off, or a third off. And then then there's Storm Shadow, and Storm Shadow has just shown up in issue 21. We don't know anything about him yet, except the fact that he's a ninja and he has the same tattoo as Snake Eyes. And so I'm like, oh man, I want these 2. These are the 2 new figures. I want them. And so I'm asking my mom for them, and my mom's like, you can have one of them. And just and so I'm like looking at both, like as I'm walking around, I'm like, this Jungle Trooper is really cool. This is the ninja, And so my mom's like, oh, you having trouble deciding? And I'm like, yeah. And she looks at him, and she goes, I like that one best. And she points to Rakondo, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm looking at Rakondo again, and I'm considering him. And then we get to the checkout, and she's like, all right, which one is it? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Storm Shadow. And so get Storm Shadow. I'm walking out to the parking lot. I'm feeling good. I'm staring at my new toy. And she goes, oh, you like that one? And I'm like, yeah, she's great. And she goes, if you would have picked the one that I liked, I would have bought them both for you.
Oh, that is a funny story. Parents do that stuff all the time.
That's an effed up story.
Oh, come on. I do that to my kids all the time.
No, that's awful. You know what that is? That's basically Mother Gothel singing Mother Knows Best.
No, that's teasing. You're fine, Aaron.
No, because that
way worse stuff happened to you.
Way worse stuff happened to me, but that was indicative
of everything. That's what's made you so indecisive, even in adult life.
No, that's what's made me. That's what's made me so bitter.
Oh man! So my favorite G.I. Joe is Snake Eyes to this day. It sounds like yours is too.
Yeah,
mine is Snake Eyes also.
It's also Snake Eyes. He's just the best.
He's the coolest. That design, everything about him. Yeah, and that in the Spy Truth movie, him and Storm Shadow move at the speed of light. No one else can move that. It literally blurs on the screen when you see it from everyone else's perspective. It's like, that's the coolest thing. So instantly I thought, like, Snake Eyes the best. He's the coolest.
So you were day one down with Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
And never ventured off. My second favorite is Tunnel Rat. Once again, because he had the cool accessories. He had the backpack. He had all the flashlights. He had a do-rag, which was pretty cool. Got a couple of guns in there. And I just like the any character with face paint always kind of did it for me. He's got the black paint on his face and stuff like that. Who's your number 2, Dylan?
Chuckles is my number 2, and that's mainly because of Cobra: The Last Laugh, which I've been telling you for years to read, and I've been trying my best for years to not spoil it for you because it's so good and you need to read it. But once I read that story, I'm like, Chuckles is
$50 book.
Yeah, again, take your kids out of private school for one semester. They get beat up. It'll give them some character. It'll be fine. Put that money towards Daddy's comic, and they'll be good.
I wish I could, but no, I can't do that
tell
one.
the kids, look, you're going to go to public school for 1 semester. You're going to have to fight, but just ask yourself, what would Tunnel Rat do? What would Snake Eyes do?
Tough them up, build some character. They're getting soft.
Chuckles is a weird G.I. Joe. He's, when you look at the line, a lot of them have gimmicks. They make sense.
Hawaiian shirt.
He's got the Hawaiian shirt, and he's like the undercover guy.
Yeah, Chuckles rules.
See, now when I got him as a kid, I was like, cool, an undercover guy. But then I could never like wrap my head around the fact that like he's got the Hawaiian shirt, so he looks like a tourist, but he's got military pants and like a sidearm on the like. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But he did have the cool like shoulder strap that you could put on him, so he could have his gun sometimes, but he could take it off when he had to be undercover. I
got Aaron like a G.I. Joe classified Chuckles like San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yeah, you sent me that for Christmas. It was amazing.
Yeah, and then my buddy came over. He had no idea where it came from.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? And then later my buddy Jesse came over and he's like, oh, when the Chuckles went up for sale, I ordered you and I ordered an extra one for you. I was like, I've got him. And he was like, oh, cool, I can sell this one because it's going for money. I'm like, yeah, sell it.
You should have sold the extra one, dude.
No, man. Like, well, I sold the one he brought me because I'd already opened the one that you sent me.
Oh. He had some good accessories too. He had like a little file folder, a couple of different head sculpts. They actually do it up pretty good on the classified stuff. He
had his beat up face from I think the Mike Costa book.
Are you a Chuckles guy, Aaron?
I like Chuckles. It was weird how they introduced him in the comics. And on the cartoon actually, because he shows up in G.I. Joe the movie. He has no lines. He like picks up a missile and just runs with it and throws it. Which I'm like, that's not how missiles work, but okay. And then in the comic, he shows up in the only issue of G.I. Joe drawn by Todd McFarlane when he was first starting out. Beautiful. And he's like a tank. Like for some reason, McFarlane drew him like ultra jacked. He's like he looks like a Schwarzeneggerian bodybuilder.
You got a number 2 besides Snake Eyes?
Me? Like I think. Then like Stalker's still my number 2, and then after that it kind of gets into the weeds of just like I kind of like a lot of characters equally.
Yeah, but Stalker is one of the more generic designs.
Yeah, but I was just intrigued by his file card when I was a kid because it was like he was a gang member, and then he realized like this isn't the life, and so he got into the military and cleaned his life up, went to Ranger School, and he was Snake Eyes' buddy. They were a nom together, like I just really dug him, but. And then like number 3 and 4, you're getting into your Cobra Commanders, your Storm Shadows. There's like a plateau of multiple characters. You like Cobra Commander? Love Cobra Commander. It's great. He was a sniveling douchebag in the cartoon. He was so weak. All he did was like threaten people and not win. Everybody's an idiot on the cartoon. It was a time when every bad guy had to be a buffoon, and I think that was kind of mandated by, the television rules at the time.
What do you think of the cloth mask for Cobra Commander when he has that? I love it. That's what he first appears in that first issue of G.I. Joe, which as a kid, I went back and I bought, as soon as I found out, my uncle's like, there's a comic book store that sells old comics. That's like right next to the aquarium place where you buy fish. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's that coin store. And in the back, they've got like a whole wall of comics and boxes. And so I went, and that guy actually really did carry a lot of comics since we got me the early issues. But, they're afraid to do the hooded head on the classified figures now because they're like, oh, people will interpret it as a clan hood. Yeah. Like, well, then those people are idiots. So I've actually
blue. And it doesn't have a point.
It's blue. Yeah. It doesn't have a point. It's got the Cobra logo on it. It looks like an executioner's mask. Other people wore hoods in history. I don't know how to break this to people, but I went ahead and we 3D modeled and I 3D printed and painted my own to put on my classified figure because I like that alternate look as well as the chrome battle mask.
Well, I certainly like the chrome mask because it stands out from all the other action figures because it's shiny.
And you had to send away for Cobra Commander originally, which I did.
Where you had to like save all the little scan things and send it in. They'd send it back to you.
Yeah, well, you cut out the flag points on the back of the box, which you were cutting out the file card anyway to put it in your little file folder of G.I. Joe. Yeah, so you could.
You were the only one that did that one, Aaron. I'm sorry.
No, I did that. I did that. I would cut out of the 3-inch figures. I'd grab the file cards. I get those from Dollar General and cut them out. And they're so cool. Reading the biographies and everything. Those are sick.
And see, that was another genius thing about that line is it immediately acquainted you with the character. It's why I loved Stalker, because I read his file card and I was like, this dude's cool. It's how I knew that Zat was Mexican. It's how I knew that Flash was Italian. Like, you know, I was kind of like, oh, you know, this is interesting. All these guys have backstories, and it informed you how to play with them in a way.
So what do you prefer, Aaron? Do you prefer those early G.I. Joe comic books that I think are coming out from Marvel at the time, or do you prefer the cartoon?
I preferred the comic books because I was just kind of a more
you're a bigger dork.
Well, I was just like I was ready for things that challenged me a little bit more. The cartoon was fun and it gave a voice to all those characters that then I would have in my head when I read the comics. But the cartoon was goofier, you know, obviously it was you know, nobody ever died, whereas the comic got pretty intense sometimes.
Yeah, but you didn't learn key life lessons like don't swim underneath people in pools.
Yeah, but
it's
you
weird.
also
It's weird that Deep Six is under those kids, right?
The knowing is half the battle thing is amazing. It's turned into a great meme. There's so much you can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be in the back of every Doomface comic because we're going to have a little life lesson with Colonel Silverstreak, where he tells you that you know, kids say now we've learned, and he tells you, and learning is not an inconsequential percentage of the equation.
So you've gone back to obviously the original G.I. Joe stuff, Dylan. You started out with the Chuck Dixon kind of era. What is the best era of G.I. Joe comic books for you?
It's the original Hama stuff, but I love, like, as far as that was cool too, though, because in the beginning of the IDW stuff, when you had like the Chuck Dixon and you also had the Larry Hama Real American Hero stuff that was continuing on, that was really cool because that was back when it was actually good. Because the latter end of Hama's run IDW was really bad, but the beginning you had cool stuff and you had like whichever one you wanted. If you wanted the classic Real American Hero stuff or you wanted Dixon's more modern take, that was a really cool era too. I like that a lot.
Is it kind of reminiscent of now where you got Larry Hama doing Real American Hero and you got Josh Williamson kind of changing things up on the G.I. Joe?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Chuck Dixon's pretty amazing on G.I. Joe, but Larry Hama's number one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's almost like Larry got depressed towards the end of the IDW run because it's like he had S.L. Gallant on art for a long time, and Gallant's art was just blobby and like not interesting. And then he got Netho Diaz. I know David Hedgecock, who's been on the show before, and who now runs Funtime Go. He put Netho Diaz on the book when he came, you know, was in charge of it because he was like, man, we gotta do something exciting here. And so Diaz was doing it for a while, and then like it's like, hey, Larry kind of got rejuvenated, and then David was gone, and they put Gallant back on it, and it's like Larry got depressed again. And it wasn't until he got like Mooneyham and Pelletier that he was rejuvenated and he's kicking ass again.
It got a little weird though when you had who was it? Quick Kick just beats the ever living piss out of.
Well, that was Larry. That was that was Aubrey Sitterson.
That's right. It was the Aubrey Sitterson stuff.
Larry had Snake Eyes die by going after Serpentor with a grenade and like down an elevator shaft.
With Dawn.
Yeah, and then Snake Eyes like possessed Dawn or whatever. It was really weird. Like that whole thing was
the brainwave scanner. All of his skills were put in Dawn's body. Larry loves the brainwave scanner. Like that's been around since like the first 10 issues of G.I. Joe with Dr. Venom. The brainwave scanner always comes to play somewhere.
What did you think about the Devil's Due era, Aaron? I've read a little bit of it. The thing that really stands out is Snake Eyes Declassified. I'm actually talking about it right now on the Comics Guilds with our good friend Nick, to where basically Brandon Jura, I guess, went and took all the notes from what Larry Hama had said about the origins of the Snake Eyes, put it all together, and made one actual story out of it. I think it's really kind of genius.
Yeah, I've talked a lot with Brandon Jura over the years, not so much recently. Although I did reach out maybe like a year, 2 years ago. Just to see how he was doing because he had left social media, and he's still out there and he's still doing stuff. But he is a huge G.I. Joe fan, so yeah, he really went through and was like, I'm going to tell the story and I'm going to do it definitively, but I'm going to do it with all the notes from Larry to make and try not to contradict everything and just try to build up what Larry has presented, and really did a good job. He was a good writer on the GI Joe stuff. I liked the Devil's Due stuff when it started. I kind of liked the idea because they brought it back like years later, and everybody was supposed to be older and like training like the new generation, which you would think wouldn't work, but it kind of did. You had to see Bazooka get back in shape because when he gets the call that G.I. Joe's being reinstated, he's like working in a toll booth and he's like super fat. He's like, just let himself go.
They thwarted him?
Yeah, they thwarted him. He was like he's balding and he's, like super fat. But he pulls himself together and comes back. But and then Jerwa took over and did some really great stuff. And then when they were losing the license, they kind of went out with a bang. But none of that stuff is really in continuity anymore. Because Larry scrapped it all, just continued from where he had left off.
No, certainly the Snake Eyes Declassified has to be. It's all based off of Larry's stories. Yeah,
I mean, you can take that and you can fit that into Larry's version of G.I. Joe really easily. Brandon Jur was really smart in the way that he like straddled both the Devil's Due continuity and the Larry Hama stuff so that it fits seamlessly in there.
What's your do you have a favorite issue and a favorite story within G.I. Joe comics?
Well, 21 of course blew everybody's mind when it came out, the silent issue. That was
best
huge.
Silent issue ever.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I don't think it's ever been topped. The 26 and 27, which tell the origin of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and their relationship, stand out in my mind. Those are really good. I think it's around issue 47, 48 as we're building up to the Battle of Springfield, where Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow go to Cobra Island because they found out that it was Zartan that killed their master, and just cut a bloody path across Cobra Island trying to get to Zartan. But at the same time, Ripcord is on the island, and trying to kill Zartan. No, wait, who's he there to kill? He's there to kill the guys that killed Candy. So that would be like Buzzer and Scrap Iron, I think. I might have to go back and reread those issues. But yeah, there's some great like switcheroos there. Zartan ends up getting taken back as Ripcord to the pit. They introduce Sergeant Slaughter, and then we're into the Battle of Springfield where they introduce Serpentor, 49 and 50. And Serpentor is actually awesome for those first two issues. He's pretty damn cool. Always a joke on the cartoon, but yeah, I didn't hate him until they kind of like killed off Cobra Commander and then kept going, and then you had the Cobra Island War where Zartan shoots Serpentor in the face with an arrow and ends him for the first time. So that was pretty good. There's a lot of really good issues. There's a lot of really, a lot of issues that I really love. The one that just came out recently, I think, is going to be one that continually climbs in my estimation.
Well, they're doing the exfil and they get hit by the RPG or whatever and have to go into the building and wait for the cavalry to show up. They're all hit with the shrapnel and shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember being super into. So like the one that really solidified my G.I. Joe fandom, though, of course, I've talked about multiple times, is issue 17, Night Attack, which is where Cobra is going to poison the currency at the Treasury and then let it proliferate throughout the United States and infect everybody.
Bastards.
And you've got like Hawk fighting Destro and Cobra Commander on the back of the Hiss tank. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever read. Like as a kid, I was like so in. And then up through like 33, where you've got like realizing that Billy is the assassin that they're training to kill Cobra Commander is actually Cobra Commander's son. You get the Barovia issues where Stalker, Snowjob, Outback, and who's the other one? Somebody else. But they get they're on a mission in Barovia and they get caught.
Probably Alpine. It sounds like you'd be on that team.
It wasn't Alpine. I don't know why I can't recall. I can kind of see the cover in my head. So like Outback, he gets told by Stalker, go tell the Joes what happened. And when he gets back, the Joes are upset because they think maybe he abandoned his buddies. And then then Snake Eyes and Scarlet and the ninjas have to go get them out of Barovia. They introduce this character, the White Clown, who's like a circus performer in Barovia. All good stuff, all good supporting characters. Like I could go on forever, but
I believe him, Dylan. I think he could literally go on forever.
I think so too.
He obviously likes a lot of the original stuff. What's your favorite issue or story, in G.I. Joe history?
So Aaron covered a lot of the Real American Hero stuff, so I guess I'll go with more of a bit more modern. So I think Snake Eyes Declassified is my favorite origin comic of anything. I think it's better than Batman Year One. I think it's better than like any of the Superman Secret Origin or anything like that. I think Declassified is the best.
I think it's a great story, but the art obviously doesn't keep up with like a Michelini on Year One.
No, the art's not as good, but the art's good enough.
It is good enough.
The art's not bad. Like, it's not like hard to look at or anything. Obviously, it's not near as good as what you get in year one, but I think the story is better. And I think how he was able to take what we'd already seen before, what Hama had done, and infiltrated, put it into this new story and put his own spin on everything, and how he, the tragedy of Zartan, I didn't expect to feel sad for Zartan, what he did there, where Zartan went and became like a swordsmith, like a blacksmith with that sword master, and then betrayed him and felt so bad about it. Like, I didn't even expect to see that coming. And it was like the way that whole story played out was great. I liked Cobra Civil War, which is what this is from, which is set up after Cobra's Last Laugh. It was really good, where they have to find a new, they're trying to find a new leader for Cobra Commander, and that was very interesting. I remember all the variant covers with all the.
Is that Chuck?
It's Chuck Dixon, Mike Costa. They've got, because they had like they had the Cobra series going on. Yeah. And this was also when you had the Snake Eyes miniseries going on. You had Target Snake Eyes, which was really good. You had that point where like they were doing a new Arashikage clan, and Snake Eyes joined, and he was like carrying out assassinations. And then you realized that he wasn't, like, the Joes were going after him, but then you realized he wasn't actually bad. He was like a double agent. And at the end of that, was it Bazooka that Storm Shadow kills? I can't remember. At the end of that storyline, at the end of that whole like Snake Eyes epic, like Storm Shadow infiltrates like a G.I. Joe ship, and he's just laying waste to everyone he kills. I think it was Bazooka he kills, and then him and Snake Eyes have a big battle, and that was awesome. And of course, Cobra the Last Laugh is one of my favorites. That's so good. It's where Chuckles goes undercover. I love the beginning to sell that Chuckles is actually a bad guy, because he's like playing a mercenary in this. He has like a meeting with a Cobra asset, and the Joes infiltrate it, and he like takes out Scarlet. He takes out like Roadblock or something, and then Duke comes in and like hits him, and he has to run. He's like, the thing that you gotta realize about this, you can never touch Duke. It's not realistic to touch Duke. It's like anytime you do one of these, Duke is untouchable. And I love that. And then he goes through hell in that book, going undercover, trying to infiltrate Cobra, and everything that goes on there, where I'll be vague about because Wes still hasn't read it.
Well, you keep rubbing it in. The book is unattainable to me.
It's attainable if you try hard enough.
Yeah.
Severe copy.
That getting lost. I can't have that. That get lost in the mail.
That likely would happen. Or somebody would open up the mail and replace it with another book.
Yeah.
That happens here in the Philippines.
Come out to ECC next year and you can read it.
Maybe. I would like to.
It's damn good. And also,
really
Storm Shadow.
So Aaron's rubbing it in now too. Okay.
Yeah, you should read it. It's really good. And Storm Shadow also kills Bazooka and G.I. Joe Resolute.
Oh yeah. Resolute was so good. I did not expect that from like, it's like a 5-part Adult Swim like thing, and watching that, it's like, wow, I can't believe this is so good.
That's the YouTube mini show that is basically a movie.
Yeah, the one that.
Yeah, it's a movie. It originally premiered on Adult Swim. They did like 5 parts on Adult Swim, and they put it all together in the one movie.
Yeah, you can watch it.
It's
15
Warren
minutes
Ellis.
a day.
Yeah, and Steve Blum voices like 80% of the cast.
So I just put it on one day. I had no idea it existed, and I had no idea whether it was good or not, but I was looking for something for the kids, so I put on G.I. Joe Resolute, and like 45 minutes later, we're like glued to our seats, and we're watching this amazing Snake Eyes Storm Shadow fight, to where I think Snake Eyes ends up taking like the sword through his hand on purpose, so he could get the blade out of his hand.
I can hear that right now. The sound design of that sword going through, like the squelch it makes, I can hear that. That's like stuck in my head.
That might be just like one of the greatest encounters they've ever had, you know, and they've obviously done them in comic books, cartoons, live action movies. Like that one was just spectacular because it was so brutal and fast and just cool.
Yeah. Takes it through the hand, then he breaks it, pulls it out. Mm-hmm. Then he does, what was it, like the secret 6th step or whatever that Hardmaster taught him that no one else had been taught.
Man, they should put Warren Ellis on a fucking G.I. Joe book.
I mean, you don't have to be attached to anybody if they do, because that was like, I had read a thing where they said they went to Warren Ellis, and Warren Ellis was like, "Well, you understand, I'm not really familiar with this property." And they said, we'll give you the overview, but we kind of want you to like pitch it, just with. And it was one of those things where it's like Warren is enough of a professional that he looked at what was there and said, "Okay, I can do all this," But since he wasn't attached to any of the characters, he could kill them without being like, oh, my childhood hero. I love Bazooka. Now he's like, nah, Bazooka's dead. You guys weren't a football.
He wipes a
jersey,
couple of them out at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kills Major Blood, like right at the beginning.
Yeah, that was really good. And that was like my kids' first foray into it. Maybe it was a little too violent for them, but man, they sure didn't like it a lot.
Good way to get them hooked, though. You show them that from the start.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like they can't go back to the Sunbow now.
I was about to say, they can't ever go back to Real American Hero and be like, why is everyone lasers and parachutes?
And that's the thing. There's a YouTube channel that just has all the original G.I. Joe episodes on like loop. You can turn it on at any time, and there's G.I. Joe, the cartoon going on. And I put it out there for my 10-year-old because I go and make him breakfast and stuff before I take him to school. And I put that thing on, and he was fine, but he didn't really like it. But then I put on the Renegades one, which has far worse animation. But the story's way more contemporary, and he really likes that one. But the animation sucks.
Yeah, I hate the way Duke looks in that show. Everyone in that show looks terrible, but I remember the Duke
looks decent.
Storm Shadow looks awful. They have like the hair poking through his mask, and that was an ugly looking show.
Roadblock's got chops, dude.
Yeah, Roadblock looks bad. Ripcord is awful.
Tunnel Rat's not that bad.
Tunnel Rat's not bad. I remember they had a couple. He's got like the overall, kind of the folded down overalls. Yeah. I remember
that's a really good team, though. Like the team that they put together.
Oh yeah, the roster
on the run.
Mm-hmm. Except for Ripcord, because they used the Marlon Wayans type Ripcord, race swapped.
Everyone's favorite Marlon Wayans Ripcord.
So out of the cartoons, where do they rack and stack? Obviously, you got the original, you got Renegade, you had the very brief Resolute, which is more of like a movie. Where do you rank them all, Dylan? What's the must-watch G.I. Joe stuff, and what's must be ignored cartoons?
Well, Resolute was my favorite. That's like still one that I'll go back and watch today. But it's hard to rank because I haven't watched a lot of them in a while. And it, like with Kid, I loved Spy Troops. I loved Valor versus Venom. But I feel like if I went back, they'd be awful. So I like to keep them in that glass and be like, not break it. Just be like, that was great.
Hold the nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. Because those were fun. I remember there's a big paintball match in Valor versus Venom.
In Valor versus Venom, they introduce a character named Venomous Maximus that is they capture Hawk and mutate him.
Yeah, he's just like gigantic. It's on super steroids. Yeah,
he's got like one big Resident Evil Bandersnatch arm.
Yes. And then they had the climax. They have to get him like in front of a giant beam. Remember, they have to get him on like that track, like the giant beam. I remember Snake Eyes like on his back, like got him in a sleeper hold or something. Yeah, that was an interesting movie, and that animation probably can't hold up because it's like early 2000s CG. That's got to look terrible now. But those are fun. I like those, and Real American Hero I enjoyed, but Resolute's the only one that'll be like still holds up because Sigma 6 I wasn't a fan of the anime art style, so I couldn't get into it. Like as a kid I watched a few episodes and I had the Snake Eyes figure, which was cool. It was like a 6-inch figure, but I couldn't get into it because of that animation style. I didn't like that anime style.
Yeah, see, I couldn't even get into the toys because they were oversized, although I will say that they had some of the best packaging ever for a toy line because they came in like these Foot Locker type cases.
Yeah.
Everybody inside and all their accessories were displayed in foam. Like, when you open up, a guy opens up a briefcase in a movie and he's got his guns in there. It's like they were all done like that.
The Wolverine mask that we never saw in the movie?
Yeah, that we never saw in the movie until years later. I kind of wish that they would go back to that packaging. Like if they can figure out how to do that for classified, like just do some, but obviously that's expensive packaging. And it's better just to get it in the boxes that are cheap. But man, was that cool.
So what do you think, Dylan? Can you go back and watch the original G.I. Joe, the movie? It's certainly of its time. It starts out with this amazing dueling intro song between the G.I. Joe theme song and a Cobra theme song while they're battling over the freaking Statue of Liberty, which was just amazing.
I haven't watched it since I was a kid. So I feel like if you went back with the right mindset, you could watch it. But if you go in like earnestly being like, this is going to be a great movie, it's probably not going to be a good time. But if you have the right mindset, I think you can still definitely enjoy it.
If you're
Aaron,
enjoying
I went back and
Energon,
watched it last year, dude. It was good.
yeah, I went to the showing down at City Rock.
I'm
That's
saying
right,
if
when
you're
Jimmy
like,
Adams was there.
if it's someone that's like you're trying to get into GI Joe and you're like, watch this, I don't think they're gonna be into GI Joe. I don't think that's gonna win them over.
You
That's
should
what
know.
I'm saying.
I tried
show it to your girlfriend.
I tried to show
good.
it to my friend Marie. I was like, I just want to show you this intro, and I showed it to her, and she's like, all right. And then I'm like, okay, wait, no, you're not getting it. I'm like, look at this opening.
You don't realize how
like,
amazing this is.
I'm like, look at the opening with like Pythona, which is like the whole invasion of the Cobra Island with Pythona. That's incredible. I'm like, just look at this animated sequence. And she watched it. She's like, all right. I'm like, okay. I was defeated. I was like, never mind.
That's what I'm saying. If you have nostalgia for it, if you're already balls deep into GI Joe, it's still good to go back for it. But if it's like a new person who's trying to get into GI Joe, that's not where to start.
I will say
It's
this,
really
Dylan,
weird. Like, it's really strange. You got
It's worth
fucking Rocky's corner man as, what was he, Golgotha or something?
Globulus.
Globulus. It's like, what is going on here? And I think
No,
Don
he's-
Johnson is a new character.
It's Falcon, and Falcon's a dumbass. Like through almost the entire movie.
He's kind of like maybe sexually harassing people left and right. Yeah.
And then I remember like Big Lob. I was like, who is this jabroni? You know,
Is that
it's just
the
like a
basketball player?
Yeah, basketball
Yes.
player. Now I love him, but like at the time when I was a kid, I was like, what? And then I didn't like Law and Order because I already had the figures and I already had a voice for them in my head. And then he's like, hey, they're not a man. And it was like the most stereotypical, like, Cheech and Chong accent they could give him. So there was a lot that I didn't love, but I will tell you, Nemesis Enforcer was badass. The Cobra Royal Guards were cool. I loved Pythona, and I loved Burgess Meredith just chewing the scenery as Globulus. He's got like 2 lines as a kid that I was like, am I allowed to be hearing this right now? Because they're so like violent. Well, he's got one that I use all the time, which is, you are guilty of the one unforgivable crime, failure. And I'm like, that's a good line to use at work. And then, of course, at the end, he says to Falcon as he's like twisting his head around, like on his back, twisting his head. He's like, the last sound you will hear is the cracking of your vertebrae, one by one. And I'm like, shit. As a kid, I was like, that is violent.
Yeah, it's good
Oh,
stuff.
Grandma.
The one
I wanted
dude,
to hear that. I'm not going to be allowed to watch this.
the one dude looks like he's out of the Chris Claremont X-Men series, though.
Which one? Nemesis?
The Nemesis Enforcer 100% looks like he's one of the Chris Claremont X-Men villains.
Yeah, dude. Remember when he lifts Cross Country's who is it that jumps in the Havoc on the way out? Like, and he lifts the Havoc up with his bare hands, and then the blades on his elbows like grow out, and he cuts through the Havoc and then rips him out of the thing and throws him across. That was amazing.
Yeah, they also turned Cobra Commander into a real snake.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cool. It's cool and
It was
creepy
less than
and
amazing.
horrible body horror. He comes back in the Deke series and turns Serpentor into an iguana. And that's why when you order Battle or Armor Cobra Commander from Classified, he comes with a fully posable iguana figure.
But I do love Cobra Commander just like groveling and being a sniveling shit, in Cobra-La. It's the voice, Aaron. I know you like to do the voice where he's just like kind of trying to be defiant, and the next thing you know, he's begging.
Well, he stands up to Serpentor, which I like, and then the assassination attempt, like what they think is an assassination attempt, starts to occur. And Cobra Commander, like Chris Latta has this great subtlety to his Cobra Commander voice, where they're like, "Oh no," Serpentor's like, "I will meet this intruder head on," because he's a big stupid blowhard, and then everybody's like, "No, we must protect you," and Cobra Commander's like, "Yes, if something were to happen to Serpentor, it would be tragic, wouldn't it?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's good acting right there." But that's the other thing Globulus said that was like crazy for a kid's cartoon is he says, "I will stain my hands with your blood." And you're like, this is a cartoon where everybody has a parachute. Like, I don't know about this.
That first opening scene about the Statue of Liberty, at least 1,000 Cobra troopers die because that thing blows up and there are no parachutes coming out.
No parachutes come out of the big helicarrier that Cobra is in. And that poor dude that like Snake Eyes leaps and grabs onto the glass of the trouble bubble and flips it upside down, and the Cobra dude falls out. There's no parachute for that guy. That guy's all the way to screaming down to the pavement.
Oh yeah, right in front of a tourist. Beautiful.
It is weird that you as the viewer get teabagged by a Cobra trooper, though.
Oh yeah.
It's a fun movie though, Aaron, but it's really strange, and it is the most 80s thing ever.
No, it was fun seeing it on the big screen, which of course we never got the chance to do as kids because they pulled it from theaters because Transformers like traumatized an entire generation of children. They were like, "Oh shit, we stabbed Duke in the heart in this thing and kill him. We gotta pull back." And so they had that little ADR line at the end. Hey everybody, Duke's gonna be A-okay.
Transformers the movie was pretty wild. I remember being very excited and then never wanting to watch Transformers the cartoon again after I was done with it.
Everybody be attached to the new Roman Reigns robots on you. You're gonna like these guys, and like the hell we are.
No, I couldn't believe they killed off Optimus. He's like the most aspirational hero on television at the time.
They killed off everybody that you were attached to. Like, if you liked any of the Decepticons, they're all gone. You know, if you liked, I mean, the only one that like got through it was Soundwave and Shockwave were the only two that like.
Well, Soundwave's awesome. He's like the best Decepticon.
Yeah,
I would.
Many a kid did his voice into the fan to be authentic.
Oh yeah. So they canceled the G.I. Joe movie because of the performance of Transformers or the reception?
Both. Yeah, it was like they were like, "Oh man, we're not going to." And I think that the G.I. Joe movie could have been successful in theaters, but I mean, I don't know how long it took them to like add in the ADR lines that they needed, because I think it was coming out like the next month or shortly thereafter. I might be wrong on that, but
yeah, because you watch the movie and it's like, "Oh, Duke's dead," until the credits are about to happen. They're like, Duke's gonna be great. Is like a doctor or something talking to one of the characters, right?
Yeah, they give Scarlet a line like she's holding Duke's head in her hands, and he goes, and then I guess that was supposed to be where she said like, he's gone or something. But instead they had him go, he's gone into a coma, and then and then Hawk's everybody stabbed in the heart with Serpentor's weird rigid snakes, and then they're like, don't worry, we're going to do it. Oh, they had to change Hawk's line too. So he like puts his hand on Falcon's shoulder and he's like, we'll do everything we can for Duke. And then he turns to the camera and tears run down his face. And he's like, yo, Joe. And then you just get the line at the end. Everybody's celebrating that Cobra-La's defeated, and then you just get the, hey, it's Doc. Duke's going to be A-okay. And then everybody's like, hey, and the movie's over. And you never see
Cobra-La is really strange, though. I still don't get that one. That seems like something Larry Hama would have despised.
Oh, he hated it. He refused to put it in the comic book. That was like one time where the toys did something where he was like, absolutely not.
What was the point of Cobra-La, though? Was it just to add a new layer of lore? Is it to introduce new villains they could turn into toys?
Yeah, it was to take the franchise in kind of like a more sci-fi direction because they thought that was where it needed to go to kind of like keep kids' interest. And I remember I bought the Cobra-La. Weapons. Yeah, and they had cool military stuff. But I mean, I remember I bought the Cobra-La 3-pack at Toys R Us, and Globulus like came with this like body that was supposed to bend, but it was really hard to bend because it was thick as hell, And then once you bent it, it would like just go back into its original shape in like seconds. So he was like really not very fun to play with. And Nemesis Enforcer looked like a doofus in comparison to his appearance in the cartoon. And then the Cobra Royal Guard looked awesome, but if you wanted more than one, you had to buy 3-packs. He didn't come individually. Which now they've got one out for classified, and he's got a bunch of extra accessories, and he looks fantastic. Like you could basically probably put 5 different looks on him without repeating them.
But the G.I. Joe movie did do nearly the amount of damage to the cartoon that the Transformers movie did to the cartoon, right?
No, it really didn't. I mean, I think it could have kept going strong. The problem was that like the movie was so expensive and they lost so much money on it that they lost Sunbow as an animation studio. And then once it went over to Deke, it was just bad. Like the vehicle designs were terrible for the toys at that point. They weren't very good, and just like the choices that they made, like Metalhead, who was a an okay looking figure on the cartoon, they gave him like this weird hippie voice, and it was just bad. And they replaced a lot of the voices. They kept Chris Latta as Cobra Commander. I think they might have kept Ricard as Destro, but a lot of the characters got changed. Like it was no longer Michael Bell as Duke, so everybody sounded wrong and looked wrong. and then Falcon got addicted to drugs because why not? He was a dumbass on G.I. Joe the movie, and apparently he didn't learn anything. So
now, Aaron, you did mention that one of the reasons we got Cobra-La and all that kind of stuff is they wanted to go more and more of a sci-fi direction, and that's exactly what they did in that G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra movie. That live action thing, I think it had Joseph Gordon-Levitt, had Channing Tatum, Marlon Wayans, just a cavalcade of odd choices when it came to casting. Like, they had good actors for the most part, but in really odd roles. G.I. Joe wasn't a real American hero anymore. They were like a world task force type of thing. And it's basically just a really, really, really strange sci-fi movie that has nothing really to do with G.I. Joe or G.I. Joe mythos, but on the most surface levels, like names.
Yeah, they reject all the costumes for, once again, black rubber costumes. They give Snake Eyes a decent looking costume, although his visor kind of sucks, and they give him lips inexplicably.
Lips thing is awful.
It's awful.
Inexplicable.
The casting, like Channing Tatum was all wrong for Duke. Channing Tatum comes off as very dumb in that movie. And then Marlon Wayans comes off as annoying, which he does in pretty much everything. He's just insufferable. I kept wanting him to die. Scarlett's good. Baroness casting's pretty good, although Sienna Miller could have attempted an East European accent. That would have been nice. I like the guy that played Storm Shadow, even though he was Korean instead of Japanese. But good actor, good look. Christopher Eccleston would have been an interesting Destro. At least he's actually Scottish. But they saddle him with that awful mask at the end. It's like nanotech. And then he does like the most.
He hated everything about that movie too.
He's so unhappy, and even at the end, it's like he's like the mask grows on his face, and he's like, "I've finally taken my place among the other Destros." And you're like, he could not wait to get the hell off this set.
It looks like a disco ball head.
Yeah, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt's stupid mask. Like, he turns around and he's like, "Call me Commander." And you're like, yeah, not with that mask, I'm not. And then they both get captured immediately. He's like, "I'm Cobra Commander." And then it's like, and G.I. Joe has captured you, and they put him in weird prisons. And it's just like everything about it. It doesn't help that I had, that was my first date for a relationship that would turn out to be disastrous for me. So
it wouldn't have mattered, dude. Trust me, it's bad no matter what happened.
But, it's talking about getting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah. Did you have any hopes for this thing, Dylan? Obviously, we had the Transformers movie with Michael Bay. I imagine that's why they thought it was going to blow up.
Oh, yeah, I was excited. I remember my friend had spent the night before, so we went. My dad took me and my friend to there. We were waiting outside, waiting for like the movie theater to open because we were going to the first showing. And we were all excited. We went, and it sucked. Like, Heavy Duty was French for some reason. Duke wasn't blonde, which is like the one physical attribute that everyone knows Duke for. Like, no one was, again, other than like Scarlet. Like, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow were cool. Other than the lips were, don't know what was going on there. But other than that, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow were pretty cool. But man, it was a disaster. That movie sucked.
And it was another one of those situations where it's a guy coming in who wanted to do a different movie, and then stitched that into the movie. So like, Stephen Sommers had wanted to do a movie called Accelerator, which was about these suits. And so that's how they end up being in the film, which is not, it's not outside of the realm of G.I. Joe, but did we have to take up that much time with it?
Yeah.
The stupid mech suits where they're running through the streets?
Yeah.
Never should have touched the movie. It was awful.
Mm-hmm.
That was really stupid.
Sucked.
And then they were blowing up the Eiffel Tower with like Mountain Dew in a missile.
Yeah, the nanobots or whatever that was during that era, though. For a few years there, and everything, the Eiffel Tower got destroyed. Like, there were like movies and video games. Eiffel Tower just getting blown up nonstop.
Yeah,
and then they weren't even in Springfield. They had like some weird underwater, like, $1 trillion base that they built.
Yeah, and then when they blow up the iceberg, it sinks. The ice sinks and crushes the Cobra base that's under the water. And I remember turning to my what would become my girlfriend for a while and going like, yes, because the one defining element of ice is that it sinks.
Yeah. I remember initially liking the Transformers movie, and thinking it was good. Eventually, a few months down the road, I kind of realized, whoa, that plot was really bad. but I was so happy that Optimus sounded like Optimus. The Transformers themselves were done pretty decently there. That like my nostalgia got me through it. There was never a moment during the Rise of Cobra that I thought I was watching anything approaching a G.I. Joe movie.
No, I mean, and the only like Dylan said, the only good stuff was the Snake Eyes Storm Shadow stuff.
Well, yeah, because you got Ray Park
then
fighting. It's good.
And then Scarlet on the treadmill was pretty great.
That was pretty good.
Unfortunately, Marlon Wayans is in that scene, so.
But yeah, it ends up. Was it Baroness is Duke's ex-girlfriend? And
Yeah,
her
got like
brother is
brain
Cobra
blonde.
Commander.
Yeah, it was blonde.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? Is this a 90210 or is this fucking G.I. Joe?
Well, we got to tie everything together. That's what modern screenwriters think. We got to tie everything together. In every Spider-Man movie, every villain has to have a very personal connection to Peter Parker. It's like it's dumb. It's lazy hack screenwriting, but they think they're doing something.
So at the time when they announced it and it was being filmed, I was in England and my buddy Shazam is a really big comic book and G.I. Joe fan. And I remember him coming in, talking about the movie. He goes, "This thing's gonna suck." I was like, "What makes you think this G.I. Joe movie's gonna suck?" He's like, "They're not real American heroes anymore." And apparently he saw it from the get-go. That should have been all of our first clues that this was gonna be bad.
Yeah, it's
wasn't
gonna be
Joe.
a UN team. Like Breaker was some Moroccan guy. And and then he like stabs that thing in the guy's head, and the nanites like resurrect him for a minute so he can tell them the plan. And it's like, oh, the exposition nanites. I love these. So lazy.
I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt could have been a perfectly fine Cobra Commander if he had his mask on from the very beginning. He wasn't oddly disfigured and handicapped for reasons.
Yeah, some former U.S. soldier, and like he has history with Duke. Yeah, all that stuff is stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest that they come, even in the Larry Hama comics, is the drunk driver that killed Snake Eyes' family the day that Snake Eyes came home from Vietnam was Cobra Commander's brother. That's like as close as they get.
Yeah.
And it's just treated like a weird coincidence.
Absolutely. They got the sequel. You had franchise Viagra coming in, The Rock, and in that one, Aaron, I do take a little exception. It did feel like, or more like Channing Tatum was Duke in that movie, but he is killed in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then when you're like, hey, maybe I would like to see him as Duke. Oh no, I guess not, because we gotta make sure that The Rock is front and center, because Roadblock, that's the guy who led the team at some point. Oh no, wait, no. And then he's not even The Rock. It's just like, this is okay. One thing I absolutely, and I'm not a fan of Dwayne Johnson. I'm a fan of The Rock, but I'm not a fan of Dwayne. In every movie, I just think it's weird that all these characters have the same tattoos as Dwayne Johnson. Like, they don't even bother to cover them up anymore. I hate it. And then
the dude's got big arms. You don't want to cover him up. He's got
you cover him up with some makeup. Okay, you put some makeup on it. You cover it up. I don't want to see.
That's harder than it sounds.
Roadblock is. I don't want to see his stupid Samoan tattoos, because Roadblock is not Samoan. And then you get into the whole thing where he's like, I love the scene where he like gets home and he has to like do the handshake with the homie on the street, because he has to show that Roadblock was street. And it was like, oh god. Adrian Palicki, pretty good as Lady J, even though her hair color is wrong. I think his name's Cardona. I want to say Matt Cardona, but that's not right. DJ Cortrona or whatever is just a plank of wood as Flint. They give him nothing to do.
That was terrible.
Again, the ninja stuff is really good. Elodie Young is fun as Jinx. The RZA is pretty good as the Blind Master. Cobra Commander looks great. Ray Stevenson is fantastic as Firefly, even though he's taking his mask off too much. Shouldn't be doing that. But then Rock blows him up at the end, and that's dumb. So, and then Zartan is in it for a split second. Arnold Vosloo returns as Zartan.
Yeah, they mostly changed out the cast except for a few key people, obviously. Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes being the big ones, because they actually worked in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know who would have been a good Flint? John Bernthal.
No.
Oh yeah, he'd be perfect for him.
Too short, and he's too rough looking. Flint's not that rough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, like, acting wise, obviously you can pull it off, but I agree with Aaron. I don't think he looks like Flint.
Well, you want Chalamet in there? You want a pretty boy?
Yeah, that's what we said. That was immediately what we went to.
Well, I didn't realize you guys were into pretty boys. I'm sorry if I like them.
No, you know what? I think actually Bernthal would be better as a Cobra operative. You make him like scrap iron or something.
And Flint, they didn't even give Flint his beret, and also he was like a short little parkour guy for some reason. Like that was his thing with parkour. Remember? He's just like moving around. I was like, what are we doing? That was weird.
Without the beret, you don't have Flint.
Yeah, no.
That's part of his signature look, and that's the problem with the whole first movie is nobody has their signature look except for Snake Eyes, but he has lips.
Yeah. The lips are bad because I did put the movies on for my youngsters because they do like G.I. Joe, and oddly enough, and to my personal devastation, they thought the Rise of Cobra was fine. And even though they were fine with it because I guess they've never really seen that much G.I. Joe, my 10-year-old is like, why does Snake Eyes have lips? I was like, we've been asking that question for years. Nobody knows why his costume has lips. It's the stupidest thing ever.
Why would you?
But they did cast it right. Ray Parker's Snake Eyes is perfect.
Yeah, he co-wrote a little Snake Eyes miniseries comic that wasn't bad either.
Yeah. Do you think that they had led with the sequel, G.I. Joe live action movie, maybe The Rock, Roadblock doesn't become the main character and Channing Tatum, plays that version of Duke without dying? Do you think it would have been more successful? Or do you think the first one, it didn't matter? The second one was going to bomb too.
I don't think that Stephen Summers was the right choice for that for the first one. Obviously, the guy who did the second one was way better. So if you would have led with that guy and maybe a creative vision that was more like the second film, I think it would have succeeded.
Yeah. But they should have made them real American heroes, though. That's the big.
Oh, they absolutely should have. Yeah. The international team is just because they're pandering and they're like, oh, well, we won't be able to sell it in all the foreign markets.
It won't perform in China. Like, get the fuck out of here.
There's a little movie that was made that was pretty pro-American called Top Gun Maverick that I think did pretty well in America. I think there's been a few movies that have crossed $1 billion just in America, and they tend to be very pro-America kind of messaging.
What do you think, Dylan? You like to watch lots of movies. Is G.I. Joe just not a live-action movie franchise?
Well, we haven't seen like a proper G.I. Joe movie. I think if you did a proper G.I. Joe movie, it could definitely work. You just got to get the right people that actually like G.I. Joe and want to adapt G.I. Joe and not just use the name to make a movie to do their own thing. I think it could definitely work.
Do you think Danny McBride's the right guy?
No, I like Danny McBride. He's hilarious, but I don't know why you choose him for G.I. Joe. Like, who knows? Maybe he'll do something good, but nothing I've seen from him shouts G.I. Joe for me. He's hilarious. I like him a lot, but not for G.I. Joe.
The word is that his script is very 80s and leans into the cartoon aspects of G.I. Joe a lot. And I kind of think that's the wrong approach. I think you just have to treat it like a straight up war movie.
Yeah. I think you do. You some of the
lasers and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You do the Hama stuff. You could do what they're currently doing with the Williams and stuff. You do the more modern Hama stuff. You could do some of the Devils. Like, there's so many things you could pull from that would work. But yeah, doing the original G.I. Joe cartoon, I don't think is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that like leaning into the goofiness. I think that you got to walk the line. You just do the comics, man. You just do Larry Hama's books. You treat it like that. You throw in a couple of winks and nods at the audience, like like in the first film, like everybody got a chuckle out of Hawk saying and knowing is half the battle. Like people were like, Also,
that was
I don't
good
know.
Casting, by the way, Dennis Quaid was a really good choice for Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
They wasted it.
Yep. And then I assume he died in the desert too, along with everybody else.
Must have. So we had another live action G.I. Joe movie.
Oh,
Snake Eyes Origin. And this thing, at that point, everybody's pretty skeptical about the idea of G.I. Joe playing out in live action. We've had the two movies. The first one's terrible, probably taints the second one to a degree. But we find out they're making Snake Eyes. It feels like you can't mess that character up. He's everybody's favorite Joe, clearly defined origin, super cool aspects about him, doesn't speak, all about action, has the greatest villain or rival, within the G.I. Joe franchise with Storm Shadow. They're completely interconnected because of their time in Vietnam and training with the Arashikage clan and then opposing each other. It just kind of writes itself. And then, I don't know, right out the gate, though, they can't cast a white character, even though Snake Eyes is a white character. They have to go with the Asian route, and you're getting all these red flags. And
it misses the whole point of Snake Eyes, like a huge part of his character. Because like when he shows up after him and Tommy serve and Nam together, and he goes over to Japan, and like they hate him because he's a blonde white guy, and they don't accept him. Like that whole part of him is gone. Like that whole thing is gone. This all started with when they cast a white guy to play Iron Fist in the Netflix show, and everyone's like, if he knows martial arts, he has to be Asian. That's how it works. Like the tolerant non-racist people are saying that, and so the same thing got applied to Snake Eyes. Like if he knows martial arts, he has to be Asian. That's how this works. They all know kung fu. And it's like white guys can't do that. So they cast Henry Golding. I like Henry Golding. He shouldn't be playing Snake Eyes, though. That was not right. Andrew Koji was good as Storm Shadow. I liked him. And Samara Weaving as Scarlet was good too. They even had her with red hair, which was cool. But other than that, the casting was rough, and they surf Dracula Snake Eyes. They didn't give him the mask till like the final 5 seconds of the movie. He gets on the motorcycle, then he puts his mask on. Also, he can talk the entire time. That was something also we didn't talk about in the Rise of Cobra, which is really dumb. They had him take a vow of silence. That's why he didn't talk. Yeah. That was so stupid. I hated that. But in this, he never even gets here. He fights a giant CGI snake at one point. He's also in this movie, Snake. I hate the character of Snake Eyes in this movie. Like, he's a bad guy. Like, there's no reason to root for him ever. He's a terrible person. The action's not good. I remember when it was announced, I was looking like the filmography of the director. Like, he hadn't done any movie that critics or audiences had liked. Like, it was all bad movies. It's like, why are you getting this guy for what's supposed to be your G.I. Joe revival? What's supposed to, like, get this franchise on track? And it's such an easy movie to make. Like, the blueprint's already out there. And they're like, no, we're going to do our own thing and make it terrible. It was a terrible night, too. I went and I saw that movie by myself on opening night. I got pulled over on the way home because my tabs were expired. I was like, this just sucks. This is just a terrible night.
Did you tell the cop, like, look, officer, I understand my tags are expired, but I just saw the Snake Eyes movie. Oh, God. Oh, man.
I'll let you get.
You've already got it bad enough.
I'm
a lifelong G.I. Joe fan. I just saw the Snake Eyes movie.
I tried to do Suicide by Cop on the way home, but he wouldn't buy it.
It's kind of weird if you watch that Snake Eyes movie, Aaron. If you think of it as a Storm Shadow movie and don't think of Henry Golding's character as Snake Eyes whatsoever, it's more acceptable because Snake Eyes is really likable. I'm sorry, Storm Shadow is really likable.
Yeah, if you just think of it as Storm Shadow and some asshole he knew.
Yes.
it's not not bad.
They worked together at like a fish market or something, right? Wasn't that their background?
That's as compelling as doing as being long range recon patrol in Nam.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a good Storm Shadow movie.
Yeah, I mean, except for the giant snake, which is I'm like,
well,
and I watched it. So we watched it after Rob Liefeld's Dead Game had come out, which is also awful.
Dead Game was hilarious. That's another one of those. If you're in the right mindset, Dead Game's all right. As long as you're not expecting like G.I. Joe, it can be fun.
Yeah, it's
like hammers involved. There's
it's like if you told somebody write a G.I. Joe, but like you only gave them the barest description of what G.I. Joe is.
Especially because the comics we're getting at the time were so bad. This was like, oh, this is kind of fun. This isn't
exactly
the worst thing.
Good covers.
Snake. Were they though? Were they?
Liefeld could do a cover. They look good.
I don't think Rob can do a cover. I don't think he can do anything anymore. He's so lazy. God, did you see that? Did you see the Youngblood cover where he's got Omni-Man on it? And it's just the quickest, laziest thing. He's like choking Shaft in the most ridiculous way, and that's not a euphemism, by the way. that's not a five-knuckle shuffle. He's choking Shaft and then like Vogue is kind of there, like bouncing off his arm, and Die Hard is there, but nobody's looking at each other. Like, for some reason, Omni-Man is looking us directly, the reader, directly in the face. He's not even looking at the guy he's strangling or any of the people he's fighting. It's just, oh, man.
It's probably better than Snake Eyes in the movie, though.
That is by far the worst. That was
bad.
All the G.I. Joe movies, that one's by far the worst.
Henry Golding should have been Shang-Chi, not Snake Eyes.
Well, and I think Andrew Kochi shouldn't have been Storm Shadow. He's probably, well, he could be Snake Eyes, but he's too likable to be Storm Shadow. Plus, he's
I think he could work as Storm Shadow if he had the right writing to like write him as the tragic character he is. Like, I think he could work.
Storm Shadow is an anti-hero after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad.
I mean, he's good in the comics now ever since they resolved the Hardmaster storyline. But even, I mean, he shows up as an antagonist in 21, but by the end of 27, they've given you his entire motivation for being part of Cobra, and it's a noble motivation.
Yeah.
He's trying to find out who murdered his uncle.
Yeah.
And so he's never really a bad guy from that point.
You know what else they murdered in that movie? The hard master, soft master, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't even make the Arashikage training and setting cool.
No, because why bother? that would be a cultural appropriation, probably. I don't know.
Well, those guys are Japanese.
Look, all the stupid complaints, like, you know, it's like just a bunch of tourists who've never watched G.I. Joe or don't care about G.I. Joe complaining about the fact that Snake Eyes would have been a white guy. I mean, that's part of what makes it interesting is when someone goes to another culture and has to learn it.
Yeah, and none of these people I complain about know that Larry Hama, an Asian guy, is the one who wrote it.
Yeah.
Although he did at the time say that he regrets it, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, because he needed to promote the movie because he needed that check.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they did that featurette when it was coming out, and he's like, "This is the most accurate to any of my work. This is so good," because he got paid. He was just saying what to say. It's like, I don't blame Larry Hama for any of that. He got paid, and he just monkey dance, basically.
Yeah, look, the industry has treated Larry so poorly, and he's still having to work. You know, he's not able to retire. You know, despite everything that he's given to the industry. You know, it's like I'll give him that check, man. Come out and say whatever you need to do to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully he's getting some payoffs for this Kickstarter G.I. Joe Omnibus stuff.
I know that they pay him for like the book plates, so I know that he makes money there. It's weird with any kind of licensed thing because Skybound can do whatever they can pay him whatever they want. But Hasbro is never gonna like give him anything because like
they don't owe him anything.
No, from their contractual, they owe him everything when it comes to G.I. Joe. But but from their standpoint and legally, they owe him nothing. And then when you, like I said, when I worked for Disney, and it was like, hey, maybe we could maybe publishing could do something nice for to kind of mend fences with Don Rosa. Take care of some of these medical problems that he's having, be a drop in the bucket for us. He's made us so much money over the years. And then you got legal coming back saying like, no, we're not going to be humane because that sets a bad precedent. Because if we give anything back to anybody who has contributed to all of the money that we've made, then other people will expect it, and we can't have that.
Yeah. Have there been any other kind of, I know people like to do like mini trailers. I remember James Vanderbeek being in like a Power Rangers thing. That was pretty wild. Did they ever do that with G.I. Joe where some fans went out there and made something that was just cooler than the movies?
I don't remember any fan films. But
probably, but I'm not familiar with it. There have been games, like people have made like side-scrolling beat-em-ups and things like that.
And we got that Snake Eyes game in production right now. I hope that's good. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
There's a Snake Eyes game in production?
Yes. We got, was it last year, 2 years ago? We got our first look at it. They released some stills and stuff. It's like from ex-devs from like other games that came to make a new studio, and this is their first game. And I'm super excited for it. Yeah.
What's it going to be? What kind of game is it?
I think they're going for like third-person action, sort of Arkham style type deal. So I'm excited for that.
So you'll have the guy in front of you. You'll be running around the layout.
Yeah, a little Splinter style kind of sneak and slash kind of game.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Have there been a lot of good G.I. Joe video games? I don't think I've ever played one.
There haven't been much. The last one they did like a sort of retro game was like the last one they did, but they haven't really put a whole lot of effort into G.I. Joe games.
Yeah, there's like a couple that came out around the movie. There's been some mobile games that were kind of fun. Of course, I'm old school, so I had that 2600 game where the big Cobra's going back and forth, and it's basically just like dropping bombs, and you've got to like fight against it. So that
the best. I was going to say the best isn't an actual G.I. Joe game. There's a game called Sifu, and if you play it on PC, you can use mods. And someone added the Snake Eye skin from Fortnite over to it, and so you can play it through the entire. Because Sifu is you play as like a kung fu dude, and you're getting revenge for something that happens, and like it's sick. And you can play the entire game of Snake Eyes with that mod, and that's what I did. And that is the best G.I. Joe game you can play. That's what I'd recommend. It's so cool.
Seafood?
Sifu, Sifu.
Oh,
like master.
The fan-made side scroller is a lot of fun because it drops in like a lot of references, like the big Cobra robot from Revenge of Cobra. The Cobra Sentinel drops down, and you got to fight that.
So is it like the TMNT side scroller where you're just going through and beating up gangs and stuff?
Yeah, and it's about as reverent as the Shredder's Revenge that came out because it's throwing in things like you'll have to fight a hiss tank. You got to beat up a hiss tank, Wes, with your fists.
Why wouldn't you? Piece of crap. You'll beat up the tank.
That's right.
Yeah. So I guess the Danny McBride stuff is moving forward. So they're going to try and do G.I. Joe again. I just hope that they get it right next time. It just needs to be an action movie with good characters.
Yeah.
I don't have any faith, but it's eternal.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
So what else is out there, Aaron? With G.I. Joe, we've covered the video games, some of the early comic books, live action TV, cartoon stuff like that. Like, are there board games or anything else that's like G.I. Joe related before we get into Energon?
Yeah, there's board games. There's games that are like kind of like there's some tabletop stuff that's out there. When I was hanging out with Drew in Indianapolis, we went to a couple of comic book stores and they had the card game that was out there. Nice little
like Magic
card game. No, it was. It's more of a more like a strategy. Well, I guess Magic's technically a strategy game, but it was like a deck building.
It's a deck building game.
Deck building, which I guess is like Magic. But yeah, it looked cool, and I was like, if I would have bought it if I could have got it back in my suitcase, but I was running with limited room, and I didn't know how much I was going to buy at the con, so I had to be conservative. But I will probably order it and then play it with nobody because I have nobody who will.
I would play it with you guys online. Stream it.
See, you get like a deck, and we did like that'd be cool. I'd do that.
When I was on the YouTubes, and Dylan could stream it on Kick or something.
That'd be fun. When I was at a board game store at the mall like last year, I remember seeing. I think it was like a G.I. Joe sort of RPG type board game, and that looked interesting. But those games are so expensive. Like everything about it's so expensive. All the additions and the board game itself, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then
everybody wants to be Snake Eyes, right?
Probably, that's what I assume.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to paint everybody's miniatures for him.
Oh yeah, taking advantage of Aaron.
Wes, you get to be Bazooka.
I want to be Bazooka. Puddle Rat. We have Bazooka. My kid's like that one because he's got the.
Yeah, he looks cool.
Right?
Yeah, he's the expendable guy.
On the cartoon, they made him like borderline retarded.
Well, he's walking around with army pants and a football shirt on. He is borderline retarded.
He's got his helmet though.
Yeah, the helmet.
Yeah, to protect his head.
Keeping him safe.
But they've got episodes where he's like showing people how to defuse a bomb, and he's like, "Oh, what?" And you're like, "What is happening? How is this guy on the team? This isn't elite."
This guy is really the best of the best.
What does that say about everybody who got rejected? This guy's a moron, but he's a lovable moron. They had good relationships on that show. I loved Wetsuit and Leatherneck with their Marine Navy rivalry, like just continually bickering all the time.
Very nice. So now it's a good time to be a G.I. Joe fan if you're a comic fan. It sounds like they're talking about or maybe planning on adapting the Energon universe at Skybound, G.I. Joe Transformers stuff into cartoon, which I hope they do, and I think it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
But we got the Josh Williamson G.I. Joe series with Tom Riley mostly, but Andre Milana is the other artist. We've already had our first big event in Dreadnought War, kind of tying over to Transformers. But then if you want old school G.I. Joe, you can go back to Larry Hama, Chris Mooneyham, Doug Braithwaite, Paul Peltier for G.I. Joe Real American Hero. So what are your feels right now, Dylan, for the G.I. Joe comic books?
It's all looking up for the comics. The comics are great right now. I'd say we had our first, in my opinion, kind of mid-issue for the Williamson run, which was the Meeting Optimus. That was like at the prior 20 issues I thought were all great. This is the only one I was like, it's kind of okay. Not much happened. But other than that, it's been great. Real American Hero has been incredible. It's a bit more like you have to have a bit more knowledge about G.I. Joe if you want to read it, because we're just jumping between team to team and there's like a lot of characters, but it's still really good. I'm loving what's going on in the comics right now. I'm very happy.
Which one do you think's better?
That's hard to. I feel like it changed. Whichever came out most recently. Generally, it's like that's the one I'm really enjoying. And the next one was like, oh, this is better. It's like it rotates. I wouldn't say consistently one I like better than the other. But as far as the highest high was probably the Real American Hero issue.
That's the best issue I think that's been put out by Skybound.
It's really good.
Yeah, I think
pretty amazing.
So Jesse Snyder has wanted to get into G.I. Joe forever. And so like there's finally a good jumping on point with the Energon stuff. So I would say that, you know, if you're recommending it to people to get them into kind of G.I. Joe and introduce them to the universe, that's probably, you know, your best bet. But I do tell people when they're like, well, where should I start? I'm saying if you're willing to, you know, spend $30 to $50, you can get the compendium on Amazon. And sometimes it's as low as 30. You know, grab that and just, you know, start reading from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I think you can just, if you have a general understanding of the characters and awareness, you can probably just jump on with the first issue that Larry Hama does with Skybound. What is that? 302 or something?
If you have a decent understanding, yeah, but if like you don't know too much, because like you've got the Cobra Casino, you've got Destro doing his thing, you got like a lot going on. So if you're just someone that's like, oh yeah, Snake Eyes is cool, and then you jump into your act, Snake Eyes is talking now, and there's some lady Snake Eyes, and there's a casino with like robots. It's like, what is going on?
There's an AI.
Yeah, it can be a lot if you're not familiar with G.I. Joe. It is. Yeah, I mean it's great. I'm just saying, like, it could definitely turn someone off that doesn't know too much.
Where do you put Mooneyham on like G.I. Joe artists?
Oh man, he's up there. He's like prior to Skybound. What like with IDW, I'd say probably Robert Atkins is my favorite. With IDW, I really liked what he did with G.I. Joe. He was great because a lot of IDW artists were not too good. But Robert Atkins is great. But now with Mooneyham's incredible. Wow, he's up there. I don't know where I'd rank him, but he's like top tier.
He's up there with Atkins and like Rod Wiggum for me. Mike Fosberg, you know, who did those early issues, I really liked. That's what got me hooked in. So, but yeah, he's definitely up there. Like he gives everything just a life and an excitement. Like even panels that you'd be like, this is kind of a, you know, just a story panel to kind of get you to the next thing. Like he adds flair to it that makes every panel on the page interesting.
Hey, you get the issue, and you know it's going to be good because it's been good since he restarted it at Skybound. But when you see the Mooneyham name, you're like, oh, it's going to be really good because it's going to be fucking sick to look at.
Yeah. And Andrew Krahnke, like the two issues he's done, he did this last issue. He did the Roadblock Silent issue. Like his art is incredible.
And you've got to be a good art. I mean, that was like always the problem with the IDW stuff is like, if you don't have a good artist on G.I. Joe, like there's so much technical stuff that you have to be able to draw. You have to be able to draw like these technical looking soldiers, and these helmets and these vehicles. And, you know, like you really have to be like a jack of all trades. Yeah. And so, you know, you can't have a half-ass artist on G.I. Joe and have the book look good. You know, they've got to be committed.
Well, and half the storytelling is just done by the characters looking at each other or reacting to the stimuli. Not so much talking, but just what they're doing. So if you're not a good visual storyteller, it doesn't work on a book like G.I. Joe. Like it has to be good shit. You have to have good facial expressions. You need to be able to show the drama and everything that's going on.
Yeah, and that was the problem with Gallant at IDW, is everybody just got sort of blobby, really like nondescript facial expressions, didn't really sell any of the drama. And I think that's where Larry was just kind of like, all right, you know, and he's just not excited about it, because why would you be?
Yeah, understandable.
As a reader, I wasn't excited about it. I was still picking it up because I'm like, well, this is my, some people just buy Amazing Spider-Man no matter what. I'm like, I buy G.I. Joe, Larry Hama no matter what. And the IDW was the only real dip for me. And it was because of the art.
What did you guys think about they try to do the homage to the silent issues? Or I think they had 6 of them. You had a Jinx one in there. I think you had a Roadblock.
We're about to get the Cobra side of that now. They're doing Cobra silent issues soon.
We're getting a Copperhead centric issue. You know that's one of those things where it's like, well, what do you want to do? And some guy comes in and goes, Copperhead was my favorite Cobra. I want to do a Copperhead book. That I had that figure. I played the shit out of that.
I guess. Those silent issues were okay. Some of them were good. Like the Andrew Cranky one was really good. I really like Roadblock. The Jinx one was good. I remember was the Beachhead one wasn't very good. There was it Spirit was not too good. It was a mixed bag.
Yeah, the Beachhead looked good, but it was not. It needed
storytelling. It wasn't a silent issue.
Yeah, you couldn't.
People were clearly screaming and shouting and talking the entire time.
Yeah, and I couldn't follow the story.
Yeah, because you needed to hear what he said to him.
Yeah, it's like, so at least I know maybe have Larry do breakdowns. Maybe pay Larry to do breakdowns. Pick up an extra check that month because his breakdowns are gorgeous, and that's what he did on 21. That's what he did on 24. Anytime Larry did breakdowns, the issue looked great.
It was the Jinx one that had the countdown, right? Like you had 30 seconds to stop whatever or to get out of there and save yourself.
I believe so.
Yeah, that sounds.
So you had little countdown clock. I was like, oh, that's perfect for a silent issue.
Yeah, the colors are really
exactly
good on that
where
one,
you are in there, and seeing her fight everybody was really good. But Roadblock was the number one.
Yeah, Roadblock was the best one, which is surprising because the idea that I would be most
Roadblock silent issue.
Yeah,
the Heavy Gunner.
Yeah.
Did you like the Roadblock G.I. Joe issue where he's a food truck owner and the Cobra twins are trying to coerce him into it?
That was really good. Yeah, that was a lot of fun for the Williamson run. Yeah, I like that a lot.
What do you think about what Williamson is doing on Energon? He's basically taking the G.I. Joe mythos, but he's changing it there a little bit, Aaron. Baroness is a Joe now. It looked like CoverGirl might go over to the bad side, but she's kind of stayed true. We've introduced this character Risk. We got a Transformer in there with Hound. We're introducing Matt Tracker in elements of that as well in there. Do you like the way that he's updated the lore and the character dynamics and everything? And
they murked rock and roll right out of the gate.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I like it because it's giving me things that I'm familiar with, but in an unexpected way, and doing unexpected things with them. And it's got and it feels less real because obviously, what feels real to me is the Larry Hama universe. So you can take more risks with the Williamson books because, if he kills, if Larry Hama kills rock and roll, I'm going to be like, oh shit, rock and roll. But you kill rock and roll in the Energon universe, and I'm like, oh, rock and roll. But I still have him over in the real universe, so it's fine. So I like seeing the different ways that people come in. Obviously, I love what he's done with Clutch and Hound. That's a lot of fun. I like the character of Risk. I'm fine with.
I do too. It's shocking.
Yeah, I'm fine with Baroness being part of the team. And seeing where that's going to go, how long he's going to play that out, if he is ever going to turn her, because he doesn't have to. He might not.
She's got to fall for Destro at some point, dude. They're like soulmates.
Well, maybe not in this universe.
They're soulmates. They're always destined to be together, dude. Come on.
I don't know, man.
Did you see what fucking Destro did to Cobra Commander because he shot him?
That was great.
He took him behind the woodshed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he might have imprisoned him as well.
He did, yeah.
He was not playing around.
No, Destro in the Real American Hero does not play around. It's all good. It's like we're in such a good space. It's funny because with so many franchises, we are in a terrible, terrible place. But with G.I. Joe and Transformers, we're as the kids say, we're eating pretty good.
Oh yeah, we're eating good, and we're about to get the Arashikage stuff to be reintroduced in G.I. Joe. Now, it was originally introduced not by Josh Williamson in G.I. Joe, but Kelly Thompson in the Scarlet miniseries. It seems like her and Jinx might be girlfriends, lovers or some type of thing. We saw Storm Shadow there. There was no indication or even mention, I think, of Snake Eyes. But clearly, Snake Eyes has to be coming up, right? Right, Dylan? It's our Chicago.
You'd think, unless they're saving them for a rainy day. If they're like, whenever we get a dip, that's when we introduce Snake Eyes, because that's what everyone's waiting for. But you'd think you can't hold them out forever, because that's obviously what everyone wants. But I'm hoping Williamson could do better with the Urashikage than Kelly Thompson did, because that was the only of the miniseries that I quit on. I read all the others. I read Cobra Commander, Duke, Destro. I read like an issue or two of Scarlet. I was like, I'm out. This is bad. I don't need to read any more of this. But I'm excited for Storm Shadow join. But I think it's only like 2 issues, and then we're going back to normal Joe stuff. So it's not like it's gonna be a whole lot of, not like a huge big arc for the Urashikage. But I trust Williamson, so I'm interested to see what he does here.
Yeah, I think he's hitting his stride as a writer too. I mean, he's doing good on Superman. He's, like, I don't know, man. Like, sometimes it takes, he came in swinging on G.I. Joe, like right out of the gate. So obviously it was something he was a fan of, something he put some thought into. And obviously he's got more pull at Skybound than he probably even does at DC. DC, you got to deal with a lot of editorial edicts and oversight. Whereas, he probably goes in and he and Robert Kirkman geek out and they put classified figures on the desk as they talk about what they're going to do. And we get good comics out of it. So,
well, speaking of eating good, you say the classified line of action figures are the best, right?
That's my favorite line of action figures right now. It's even
like ever in your life, or is it even better than the originals?
Oh, it's better than the originals for me because they're more detailed. They're they're more posable. Like they don't have thumbs that break off. I look, as a kid, I loved every single one of those figures, even the ones that had absolutely ugly head sculpts. If you bought a Scarlet figure, she was fug. But now, they can give you everybody looking exactly how they should look. The figures are great. The vehicles are great. The accessories are great. I'm a big fan of what they're doing with the classified line, and I'm in for all of it. I'm even buying stuff that I normally wouldn't buy. You give me some weird new character, sure, I'll buy him. I'll buy what's his name, Wolf Spider. Why the hell not?
Are you an action figure guy still, Dylan, or are you staying away from the classified stuff?
I've got the Commando Snake Eyes, like with the blue. I've got that. That's the only one I've picked up so far. But I'm not a huge action figure guy, but I occasionally dip in.
Yeah, I've gotten some from my boys. They have a lot of fun with it because they have so many accessories. And then one of the backers actually sent like a box of G.I. Joes he was about to get rid of. So we've got more G.I. Joes than we know what to do with. But they are really cool. But they're absolutely huge in comparison to what we were playing with, Aaron.
Oh, yeah, 6-inch scale. It's funny, too, because obviously I know a lot of G.I. Joe collectors, and my buddy Jesse Quintero and I were always talking about, like, man, if Hasbro wants to print money, they need to make G.I. Joes in 6-inch Marvel Legends scale. And all these G.I. Joe guys would be like, no, because it's got to be 3 3/4 for the vehicles. That'd never sell. The Joe fans would reject it. And we're like, you're out of your mind. Like, you guys just know Joes, but we know toys. We know action figures overall. It's like, it would be huge. And they did it. And sure enough, what happened? They're huge. And now all those G.I. Joe guys that were naysayers are buying up everything. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's like, it's a great time. Like right here on my desk, I've got like a couple of like just customs I was working on. Like later in the Larry Hama comics, Hawk was kind of like wearing green and had like a ball cap. And so I kind of, before they did the General Hawk figure and then the one that the old school one that comes with the mobile missile system, I made myself like a Hawk that kind of like represent that era. And then I'm working on like a Cobra Ranger right now. So it's like there's lots of cool customization possibilities with the characters.
Yeah, they got all kinds of good guns. They didn't want to do guns there for a minute, right?
Yeah, when they first reintroduced them, they were trying to do these kind of like reimagined G.I. Joes. So when the classified line first launched, they looked kind of like the characters, but there were some embellishments taken. And because some of the people that were some of the higher ups at Hasbro, I think it was that Tony Goldner or whatever his name was, the guy that died. He was pretty far leftist, and he was not a fan of the United States military. So, he didn't want to bring back G.I. Joe, but it became a financial necessity to try it. And so when they came out, he didn't want them to have realistic guns. So they just had like Nerf guns from the, Hasbro's Nerf lineup. And so they just looked like weird sci-fi guns, which is fine. I gave them all to like Cobra Troopers because I'm like, those look like Mars weapons. Destro's armament company, but eventually they came around to the idea that, oh my gosh, if we make these toys and we make them pretty much the exact thing that people had when they were kids, just updated, people will go nuts. And that's where the line really got successful.
Yeah, I think there was another company that was just making all the accessories they refused to and selling them separately.
Well, part of the thing that happened was Bobby Valla, who used to work at Hasbro, came out with the Valaverse stuff, and it started to bite into Hasbro because you could get real guns, you could get real AK-47s and put them on your Cobra Troopers. You could do all that, and so Hasbro saw the competition, they saw the writing on the wall, and they had to kind of pivot and give everybody what they wanted. Go figure.
And one of my kids has a roadblock, and there's no way that gun exists in the real world. It is too big.
Oh, is it the one that's like it looks like a beam weapon? And it's got a split.
Taller than he is.
Yeah. There are roadblocks that come with the Browning 50 cal now, but it took him a while to get there.
That thing was ridiculously huge. My son's like, "How do I put it in his hand?" I was like, "I don't know. It doesn't fit."
He's got to hold it. He's got to hold the trigger, and then he's got to have the other hand like this. So he's got to hold it like a sweeping weapon. Like, so if you think of it like like one of the rifles from Aliens,
Oh yeah.
Jesse
like
Ventura with his minigun.
Yeah, you got to kind of mount it in his hands like that. And then if you get the Ram motorcycle, it's the sidecar with the Gatling gun that splits open. You can take the Gatling gun out and give it to somebody, so they can hand hold it. The Grim Vipers come with that now. Yeah, they're good stuff.
But I don't know. They're not nearly as cheap as they used to be.
No, that's of course, if you're Doc and you're like, I just got 8 Cobra Troopers off of Chinese eBay for $8 each.
That's still $64 back in the day. For $64, you're talking at least 30 action figures.
Yeah, or get a couple of play sets, maybe.
A little HISS tank. Maybe you can get a helicopter,
missile system, get a Cobra Stinger. Although the Cobra Stingers were showing up at Ross for $30, so down from like 80 or whatever they were.
Dude, so what are the vehicles like? Because obviously I ain't got any of those. I just have the action figures. Are the vehicles just as good as they used to be?
The vehicles are better. They're
it used to be just hollow plastic with like a little place that you could set them in. That was about it.
Yeah, and maybe it had like a swiveling gun and like a couple of gas tanks that you could put in and things like that. But no, the HISS tank, like it's got the swiveling turret. It's got you can switch out the treads. You can put the side armor. You can make it different versions of it. The back opens up and then like a whole like cab area slides out that like the troopers can sit in, so that you can actually like have some personnel inside the tank, as well as the guy in the turret. It's really good stuff. I mean, I bought 3 HISS tanks from HasLab because I was like, well, okay, so Night Attack is my favorite G.I. Joe comic, so I obviously need a tank that holds Dr. Venom and Cobra Commander, with Destro on the back, and then I need one for Baroness and Major Blood, and then I need one just for the regular HISS crew, so I need 3 tanks.
Minimum.
And even I don't know where I'm going to put these things. Got the Cobra Rattler. I'm thinking of buying a second because it's so awesome.
Dude, when are they doing the G.I. Joe classified USS Flag?
Oh, my buddy and I like we figured out how big it would have to be scale, and it was like 24 feet. But then we figured out if it was like true scale to a real aircraft carrier, for the 6-inch figures, how big it would have to be. It's like 48 feet or something like that we came up with. And we're like, how do you like, if I won the lottery, obviously I'd get to work on that. But, until then, I don't think it's going to happen.
It'd be fun though. You put it back in the pool, make sure it floats.
Well, I would actually I would have a pool where it was built as part of the pool. It'd be so good.
G.I. Joe's great stuff. I really do hope we get a good live action movie and they just make it a war movie. Because recently, Dylan has told me a couple times that I need to watch this movie Warfare from last year, right?
Yep.
And you said it was your number 1 movie of 2025?
No, not number 1. It was in my top 5, but it wasn't number 1.
Top 5.
Yeah.
What was number 1?
Mission Impossible.
Oh.
Mission Impossible was my favorite last year.
So I finally watched Warfare this week, and they should get Alex Garland to do the G.I. Joe movie.
I would be down for that. I told you because we talked about how much you liked that last issue of Real American Heroes. Like the situation is very similar to Warfare, where they're stuck up in that building. There's just a bunch of infiltrators coming in at them. Obviously, everything plays out much differently because no one in there is as competent as Snake Eyes. But the situation was similar, so that's like you should watch that. But there's a scene where a dude gets hit by something, and then he's just screaming for like the next half hour, and it's like it's harrowing because everything's going on. This guy's just screaming the entire time. It's like, oh, and it gets you. And then every time they do a show of force, it's so good, especially like seeing it in IMAX, like on the big screen, like hearing those jets come by. Yeah, Warfare is really good. It was a great movie. And something that I was worried about when the movie was first announced was it's a lot of like pretty boy British guys, but they did great. Like I was worried about that because I don't know how these guys are going to do as Navy SEALs, but they did it really good because it's co-directed by Alex Garland and then also by Navy SEAL that's actually a part of this operation. And you can see the behind the scenes because like they say in the beginning, like it's from the memories of the people that were there. So he co-directed and co-wrote it, and then a bunch of the dudes were on set also. It was interesting hearing them tell like stories of the same situations and how they saw things. And it's a really good movie. It's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, I guess the guy it's his experience. He's like a JTAC or whatever, but he was Alex Garland's military advisor for Civil War, I guess, and that's how they became friends. And I must have told him the story. They decided to make it a movie, but it's pretty wild. Aaron, have you seen Warfare?
I have not.
It's strange. There's not a piece of music in the film. Like, there's not introductory music. Well,
in the beginning, there's the music video, which is great. Call on Me. Such a good opening.
It's pretty funny, but there's really no music. It's all, nothing is used to make things more
intense or anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no soundtrack to it. And whoever did the sound editing on the movie it's amazing. Because you like start feeling the fog of war as like all these things are happening, all their positions are getting attacked at the same time. And the one dude who's going to be calling in like all the strikes and everything, like he's just overwhelmed like the amount of people that are sending in information from all these places. He eventually has to cut himself off. But then when the guys get hit, they're kind of all got brain injuries and concussions, and like all the sound gets all wonky and everything. And it's pretty fucking harrowing. I mean, I think Black Hawk Down is probably a bit of a better movie.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's really, really good. Like, yeah.
And it's unique because a lot of times when like there's gunfighting going on, you almost never see the enemy. It's like you're seeing the soldiers. Like it's not a lot of like you're seeing them shoot and it pans the enemy getting killed. It's almost always like exclusively on our guys, which I thought was interesting because you don't see that a lot in military movies.
That's one of the things I noticed, because I had worked with some, I directly supported some SEALs when I was in Afghanistan. And, I had witnessed some operations. And I did feel like the movie wasn't quite selling their marksmanship. Because from the stuff I was watching, they didn't miss. And they missed a few times, although they had been, obviously...
They were in a very shit scenario.
Yes, they were in a terrible situation. Everybody's basically hurt. But like those dudes, like I said, they don't really miss from what I observed when I was doing some support for them. But also, the guys I worked with all had huge beards. Like none of them were clean cut and shaven like those guys were.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just like an Iraq thing versus Afghanistan thing, or maybe. Because I went and did my tour after that. Maybe the rules had changed a bit. But you a big fan of war movies, Aaron?
Yeah, no, I love war movies.
Well, I would recommend Warfare. It is on Blockbuster Video. What's your favorite war movie, dude?
Probably Black Hawk Down.
That one's an amazing one. That's like super duper, very close to the actual events in Mogadishu as well.
Yeah, super intense. My friend Jesse Quintero was actually there in country during the Black Hawk Down incident. He was one of the guys that was in the choppers that would fly over at night that was dumping the ammo to them. And he said he goes, that movie is probably the most accurate representation I've ever seen of at least what we were going through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's really good. It has one of the more amazing casts you'll ever see in a film.
Yeah, everybody
Like,
who was
everybody
just
was in it.
Yeah, you got Ewan McGregor, Josh Hartnett. Yeah, you got a lot of people.
Pre-Legolas Orlando Bloom. What?
Yeah, well, you had guys that were all like up and comers. You had some established stars. You had guys that everybody knew, like your Tom Sizemores and things like that had been.
Tom Hardy's in there.
Actors. Yeah, and then a bunch of up and comers that are like really famous now. So it's one of those movies, and you go back and you watch it, and they're like, oh hey, oh hey, oh hey. You're doing that the constant time. And, oh, it's that guy. It's that guy. It's really well done, really intense. Obviously, Saving Private Ryan is a fantastic war film. The opening D-Day
20
scene,
minutes on D-Day is like maybe the most intense movie sequence in history.
Yeah, I like a movie where, like, after the first 20 minutes of it, I'm thoroughly exhausted and emotionally wrung out.
You're ready for a break, yeah. And then Vin Diesel's randomly shows up in the movie. Every time I rewatch, I'm like, oh yeah, Vin Diesel's here.
My sister.
Vin Diesel's like in a real movie.
Yeah.
That's his breakout role.
That was so weird.
Saving Private Ryan is a fantastic movie, and the D-Day scene, is intense stuff. And then the big surprise where it's Matt Damon is Private Ryan after you get the Nathan Fillion.
That's so good. Nathan Fillion is like crying. It's like my 10-year-old brother. Yeah. That'd been so good.
Yeah.
Obviously, Band of Brothers is really good. There's been a ton of really great war movies. What else do we got? Obviously,
my favorite is Full Metal Jacket. Full Metal Jacket's great. Just once you get past the boot camp is when it's
half
like
a great movie.
Yeah.
The Vietnam portion of it, I think, sucks in comparison to like Platoon and several
at that point, turn it off and go watch Platoon.
Yeah.
But the Full Metal Jacket, like, basic trading scene is as memorable as you'll ever get with the drill instructor. Like, it was great.
Arlie Ernie on set as an advisor, and then they were like, why aren't you doing this? You're way better than the guy we hired.
The other side of that, I love Stripes with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so, it's like, are either of you homosexual? No, sir, but we're willing to learn.
Of a crime, never convicted. No.
It makes up that BS march on like the day they're supposed to graduate. That's so good. Stripes is so funny.
What were you saying your favorite one was, Dylan? Is it Stripes?
No, it's Hacksaw Ridge is my favorite. I love Hacksaw Ridge.
Ridge is a great one.
Yes, Mel Gibson directed, Andrew Garfield. That movie gets me tearing up. Like that movie, like Hugo Weaving as the dad and like not wanting his kid to serve because he saw World War I. He's like, you're not gonna end up like I did, and him refusing to take a weapon. You got Vince Vaughn as the drill instructor, which is great. Sam Worthington's really good in that. Like that movie is great. I love
Sam
Hacksaw
Worthington
Ridge.
is great in everything where he's a supporting character.
Yeah.
As soon as you elevate him to leading man, it doesn't work anymore because he ain't got the charisma.
He's not the problem with Terminator Salvation. I'll say that. He's not the issue with that movie.
Oh, it's the script.
Yeah.
The concept of the film. It probably does it in. And the fact that they gave away the big secret, in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that, like, you're putting him up against Christian Bale, which isn't even fair.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not fair for anybody.
But yeah, Hacksaw Ridge is definitely a tearjerker. I like that one a lot. Mel Gibson, just as a director, has I don't know, I'll say the word fetish with like sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's brutal when he gets into it too.
I think it's because that's what speaks to men. It's like it calls out to our blood, the idea of sacrificing ourselves for something greater than ourselves. Like I think that
I think it's also his Catholic part to him as well.
Well, yeah, but I think for anybody that has any kind of like belief system like that, I think that if you don't get on a plane and think about what you'll do if terrorists seize the plane, I don't even know if you can qualify as a man. Like, that's just something that it's like you just imagine the scenario of like, okay, if I have to help people, if I have to defend, this space, what do I do? Like, that's just in your blood.
Also, when you're a little kid playing army with your boys, there's always like you boys go on, I'll hold them off. And then you sacrifice yourself. Like everyone's done that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like built into you.
Now, my favorite Mel Gibson war movie, and I like Hacksaw Ridge a lot, but I like We Were Soldiers a ton.
We Were Soldiers. That's, man. When they go to grab the guy's legs to pull him and it just comes off. Oh.
The guy's all burnt up and, tell my wife I love her.
Yeah. We Were Soldiers are really good, but I think Hacksaw Ridge is better. We Were Soldiers is a bit more like cliched and a bit played out. It's still really good, but I think Hacksaw Ridge does everything a lot better.
I'll tell you another war movie that I love is Starship Troopers.
That is a fantastic war movie, man.
Qualifies,
Starship Troopers is great. People tell me I'm not supposed to be rooting for the humans.
The bugs are the good guys.
Are you kidding me? I'm going to root for bugs? Like, get out of here.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
Exactly. I'll fall for that bullshit.
Listen,
I'm not changing sides.
I'm sorry, but Michael Ironside is a guy that I'd follow to Mordor, man.
Oh yeah.
It's like when he shows up and later, like he's already been in the movie, but he shows up later in the film as the commander of that unit, and he's like, nobody fights, nobody quits. And you're like, damn straight.
His voice so good. Greatest dark side should still be Sam Fisher. That's so mad they replaced him with Sam Fisher, but I love Michael Ironside.
He's great.
That's another great one. Do we consider Top Gun a war movie? He's is he Jester in that one? Right?
I don't know if I would consider Top. I mean, I guess it technically is, but I don't know if I'd consider Top Gun.
It's weird because it's like a jet movie. Like it almost becomes a different genre.
He's shooting down by the end of it.
Yeah, but you're not on the ground. Like I feel like you got to be a grunt.
Oh, that's
and I feel like Maverick. I feel like Top Gun Maverick's more of a war movie than the first Top Gun, also because they get trapped behind enemy lines and
behind enemy lines with Owen Wilson. Not a bad flick.
Yeah, I'm sure all about that. Lone Survivor's pretty good with Wahlberg. I like that.
Inglourious Bastards is great.
Inglourious Bastards really good.
I like American Sniper a lot. That thing was pretty wild.
That's intense. Clint Eastwood. Yeah. That
one's not nearly true to the actual story as like a Black Hawk Down, though. Taken there.
Yeah. The Covenant, Guy Ritchie's Covenant's really good with Jake Gyllenhaal. That one's really good. I've told you like multiple times to watch that. You should check that out.
I haven't seen it.
That one's good. Yeah, because you just every time you see Gyllenhaal, you get really gay.
That's not true.
That is true. Every time you're like, I don't know if he has chemistry with this other guy on screen. It's like he's not gay in this movie.
I'm just telling. I haven't watched Brokeback Mountain, and I didn't.
He had to.
He felt that way about Heath. Heath felt that way about Jake, but I thought he was pretending.
Wait. Why did you have to see Brokeback Mountain?
That's what I'm saying.
Girl wanted to go there on a date.
Your date said, "Let's go see a gay cowboy movie."
Yeah, chicks are weird.
Obviously, this isn't
you
the
ever
woman
met
you married.
No.
I've never met one that was like, "Let's go see the gay cowboy movie. Let's put on the gay cowboy movie."
Sounds like you've never had an interesting date. I don't know what to tell you.
I've had plenty of interesting dates, but
we just know we went to see Rise of Cobra for a first date.
Yeah, come on, that was like an.
I'm not the only guy
to
go see Brokeback Mountain because leftist chicks. So that's not my. That shit happens. But I'm just saying, Jakey didn't put in the fucking effort that Heath did. I can't look at him and say. But now, as far as you have to be on the ground,
you're mad at him. You're mad at him because he didn't. He just came off as less gay.
You weren't realistically gay.
He didn't commit to the bit.
I didn't fucking feel the heat, man. Like, what is this?
What is happening?
So this is brought up in because we've talked about when we did Hot or Not for like 3 weeks straight. Every time Jake Gyllenhaal would come up, be like, "Yeah," and then in this other movie, I couldn't buy it. Because every movie, you think he's his character from Brokeback Mountain in every movie.
No,
that's not relevant.
Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I don't think that he commits to the role.
He's watching Far From Home, and he's like, and like Peter's giving up the glasses to Mysterio, and he's like, "When are these guys gonna kiss? I'm not buying it."
Exactly.
I don't.
Unironically, that's why he does that every time
at all. He's not hot for him. What's going on here? He's not selling it. I don't know what you guys are making this weird.
I've only seen the trailer, but I'm gonna guess that that Heath Ledger is more convincing just because of that lip bite. I see the meme all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's like that's what sold Wes. He's like, oh nope, I believe it.
No, I mean, look what Heath Ledger did with fucking Joker. You tell me he wasn't going to go all out for Brokeback Mountain and sell it?
No, look, he went all out in that movie with Julia Stiles, the 10 Things I Hate About You or whatever. Like,
great film.
You know, he's always
also The Patriot.
Takes place out here.
The Patriot's another
great.
good war movie.
Yeah, man, that fight scene in the woods with his two boys up on the hill, that's so good.
Man, he doesn't make it in that one, I don't think.
Heath Ledger, no, he dies. He goes after like the main bad guy and like he tries to take him out and he dies because didn't his like wife die or fiance or whatever? I feel like Heath Ledger's wife, I think, got taken out. So then he goes after that guy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
a great movie.
Great actor. It's too bad Diddy poisoned him.
That's tough.
Yeah. I like The Patriot. My favorite naval warfare movie ever is without a doubt, it's not even close. It's Master and Commander.
Russell Crowe.
I just got told by somebody that they were like, "You've never seen Master and Commander?" And I was like, "I have never seen Master and Commander." And they were like, "Stop what you were doing right now and go watch Master and Commander."
I agree. It's on Blockbuster, dude.
Okay, I will watch it. Like
it's this amazing, piece of art where you have this group of men that are taken, they go out for like a year or two at a time. Their lieutenants are like 7 years old and they just have orders, go find this boat. And Russell Crowe's Captain Jack Lucky or Jack Aubrey or whatever. It's like, fuck it. Let's do it. It's really good shit. And just like the stuff that they have to go through and endure together just to keep each other alive. Amazing stuff.
But is there any heat between Russell Crowe and Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie?
No, but I can see Captain Jack Aubrey and the Doctor totally.
Oh God,
loving each other. Why do you got to make everything gay, Aaron?
I think that's you that's doing that.
No,
that's on Aaron.
I'm the one talking about giving five knuckle shuffles to people. I'm the guy.
No, it sounds. I'm pretty sure. I think Wes dragged his date to Brokeback Mountain. That's what it sounds like. He's like, "We gotta go see this. We gotta go." She's like, "Sure." She's like, "Oh, she forced me to go see it."
No, that's not what happened at all.
What
do you think about
I'm curious now because you saw the Twilight movies in the theater. You saw you're always being forced to these movies by different people. Wes, what's going on?
I had a healthy dating life. I don't know what to tell you.
Master Commander is pretty good. I just got the 4K Steelbook Blu-ray for it, so I need to rewatch it. It's been a while, but I remember liking it. Now you said it's the best naval one. I'm trying to think what other naval war movies are there. I'm trying to think what pops up for you.
Saying that Iwo Jima to be a naval war movie. There's certainly lots of Pacific World War II films that would be considered like naval war movies.
Yeah, lots of movies about submarine warfare.
Yeah.
Red October is fucking pretty good. I think Crimson Tide might be better with Gene Hackman and.
Now, if we're getting into technicalities for we're technically considered Top Gun a war movie, is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly a war movie because they go through the Civil War during that movie they just encounter it at the bridge and that.
I think it's a war movie in the same way that The Outlaw Josie Wales isn't a war movie, although the setting includes a war.
Yeah, but that's also post-Civil War, Josie Whale. That's post-Civil War.
The Northerners are still shooting down Southern sympathizers.
Yeah, but it's technically post-war, to where they're in the middle of a battle in the Civil War in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah. We got any other favorite war movies that we need to talk about? In honor of G.I. Joe?
I was thinking about how great it would be to have a legit G.I. Joe war movie.
That'd be really cool.
Be amazing. Yeah. Is Lord of the Rings a war movie?
Medieval war movie. I mean, there's you want to get into that. There's
going on.
plenty of good medieval war movies.
Oh yeah, I love a good sword and sorcery medieval war type of stuff. King Arthur.
I'd so much rather go to a modern day war than be in a medieval war.
Dude, yeah.
It's like even if you like get through it, you're like, yeah, I got through it, just a slight nick on my arm. Oh, it's infected. I'm dead.
Yeah.
That would suck so bad.
You know, during like medieval periods, at least in England, like you would have these like houses fight each other, you know, in castles and stuff like that. The battles are often quite small, like maybe less than 100 people per army per side a lot of times, because England wasn't as densely populated at the time. So the bigger battles were happening over in Japan. Oh, The Last Samurai is a great
The Last Samurai is Avatar done right. That's like, if you want to watch Avatar, watch The Last Samurai. Like it's literally just Avatar, but done right.
A movie where
That
I
is
care
a
about the
fucking great
characters.
movie.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I love that
I like
one.
it. Apocalypse Now is great, and then talk about that.
Apocalypse Now is very strange.
It's good though.
I like
you
it
got
until
like
the end.
you got like 15-year-old Lawrence Fishburne showing up in that. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like,
Choking
whoa,
down
that is
heaters?
so weird. Seeing him, yeah. You got Harrison Ford in there. Yeah, it's good. Got to see that.
Oh, and you
online.
also had the elder Sheen almost. I think he had a heart attack on set because of the director. Was
Oh
being
yeah,
so
like everybody
hard on him.
everybody almost went nuts. Critical Drinker has a great like production
Yeah.
hell on Apocalypse Now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it took them 2 or 3 years to make that movie because they filmed it here in the Philippines, and they had special agreements with like the Philippine like military to use their helicopters and stuff in some scenes. But something had happened, and they were like fighting insurgents and stuff at the time, so that was all delaying it. And then a fucking typhoon came through and wrecked all their sets. They had to rebuild everything, so it ended up taking them like 3 years. And by the time that they were ready to film the finale, the Don Corleone, what's his name?
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando finally showed up, but he was like 280 pounds and super fat and didn't know any of his lines.
Yeah, they had him reading off cue cards. Yeah.
He just started spouting off bullshit, and that
He was great though. Yeah,
Not knowing any of his lines would turn out to be like a pretty standard thing with Marlon Brando after that point. The typhoon blowing through. The same thing happened on another classic film, Street Fighter, with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia. That's always that. There's a war in that movie. The war against.
Do you like Pearl Harbor? I feel like you would be a Pearl Harbor guy.
No, I'm a guy that loves the song from Team America about how bad Pearl Harbor sucked.
Team America is a funny movie. I don't know that I would like it in my 40s, but I certainly liked it in my 20s.
I miss you like that movie missed the mark. And that's an awful lot, girl.
Lawrence of Arabia is technically a war movie. That should be considered a war movie. That's great.
Yeah.
Visually stunning movie.
So, yeah. Universal, Paramount, whoever owns the G.I. Joe stuff, they should go to Alex Garland, hire the dude that co-wrote and co-directed that movie to be the military supervisor, and treat G.I. Joe like a real war franchise, and it would be amazing.
So do you start off with Cobra being like a global threat, or do you go smaller for budget reasons and do like kind of, I don't want to say the rise of Cobra because I don't want people to think that I'm saying do that movie again.
I would have Cobra be a real thing that nobody knows about, and then by the end you realize like this Cobra Commander guy has been orchestrating everything.
Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't do it like the first issue of G.I. Joe where Cobra's already established and they've kidnapped a scientist and you guys have to go in and fight this terrorist organization. You think that's going too big right at the beginning, or?
Fuck it, just do that then. That'd be either way. As long as you
because I mean, you introduce our team of operatives and are off.
Get rid of the lasers. Just use real guns. Make vehicles that are reminiscent of the comic books and the toys and everything. And make sure you have good, accurate costumes. And Snake Eyes is a very important part of the story. And I think you're good.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, Fails. Do we have anything else to say about G.I. Joe?
I mean, aside from the fact that people should be reading the books right now,
they should definitely be doing that.
Yeah.
I do want to say thank you very much to Aaron and Dylan for joining me today. This has been a free view of the Geek Fix, normally on Think Critical Patreon channel memberships, but I'm on vacation and we're putting this out for everybody. I hope you enjoyed this one. And if you're interested, head over to Patreon channel memberships, and I hope to see you there very, very soon.